Welcome to the world of Q&Asa. Past, present, and future of gaming, they're all converging, and I've been enjoying every bit of it. I've been enjoying my games a lot these last couple of weeks. Today, I'm late, tired, and I'm sweaty. I'm late, that one's my fault. I'm sweaty, that one's also my fault because I cooked a really overly hot chili right before coming on the show. But I'm tired because of Tomu right there. Tomu promised me last night, he said, you've only got 5 more minutes of the ascent until you finish this game. And it wasn't true. Wasn't true at all. 2 hours later, like 2:15 in the end, I ended up going to bed. So yeah, that was a good time. I appreciate that, Tom. It went well because I enjoyed every minute of the ascent, as I always do. How is everybody doing this evening? I've just kicked my MetaQuest Pro off of its charging stand, but not done any damage, so I'm doing well. What is my shirt? My shirt is not interesting, actually. It's like a nothing shirt. It doesn't have any, like, you'd think from a distance, knowing who I am, that it's some kind of gaming related shirt, but it's not. It's just a t-shirt. I don't know where it came from. I don't know what it means. Covers my nipples, and that's what counts. Before we get into the show proper, let's just run over how it works. No, let's have a word from our sponsor. It's our sponsor. It's Game On Daily, website, platform, wonderful social media space of the future. With a long way to go, but it is already quite good now. I am paying it quite a bit of attention at the moment, so the news might not have looked that much today, but it's got most of the latest gaming news. It's got little hubs you can go to for all your different games. Let's have a little look at a hub while I'm here. Let's have a look at Baldur's Gate. That's probably not going to come up. Fuck you, it's not fuzzy enough. Terrible demo of my own platform. Baldur's Gate 3, here it is. Look, it's got a hub. All that you could want to know about the game, all the latest news as it comes in. There's not many reviews for it, but not a single review for it, but there's guides. If people submit guides, anyone can submit content to this site. If you've got content, you can go there and submit it, and it all appears in this handy game hub on the website. That's it. That's our word from our sponsor. I don't think I demonstrated it particularly successfully, but it is actually a really nice platform. It's coming along, and it will get better and better and better. I see lots of names, and I'd run through them like I normally do, but because I was so late and you've been talking for so long, I know that I'm going to miss some. So I'm just going to take it from this point going forwards and address people as we go. Baldur's Gate 3. That means that Tony is here. Welcome, Tony. No, Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate. No, Tony, I'm not reading more of what you're saying. Painful Discourse is here. I'm sure there was a we at the start. Welcome, Painful Discourse. Isla's obviously here, always here. Thank you very much. Replicant, good. I still haven't got Red Dead Redemption 2 working, despite tips and advice and all of that kind of stuff. Tom, you had a groggy day due to staying up as well. I hope your business fun day was a business fun day, like something enjoyable. What was your activity that you had planned out for you? I see Chronix there as well, loving Baldur's Gate 3 at the moment. It's awesome. Yeah, I haven't started it yet. I'm starting it tomorrow. That's the plan. So let's run through how the show works. People talk in the chat box on YouTube. Boozy the Clown, welcome along. I read them as best I can, and we have a little back and forth, but you can also talk to each other. It's conversational. That's what these Thursday evenings are all about. Everybody just talks games and has a nice relaxing time. So if you want to join in, feel free to type in the chat and say whatever you want. If that's not good enough for you, you've got other options as well. You can, I'm not on top chat, thank you, Isla. You can show your face and voice, or one or the other, to the world by joining the show on Discord. If you are feeling like that's just a thing that you want to do, then you can do that. You can jump onto the Game On Daily Discord server. There's a Q&A section, category, channel area on the left. Stick yourself in any one of the waiting rooms. You've got waiting room B, waiting room 2, or waiting room Knuckles. All are equal. Stick yourself in any one of those. You can come through. Oh, that's the wrong button. I'll just press this little button when you're in there. Your face will appear if you want it to. If not, your voice will be heard and we'll have a little chat. That's an option. Nobody ever does it, so yes. Q-Asa Clan, there is a Game On Daily Discord. Isla, please link it. And yes, Isla, if you want to do your Gran Turismo movie review, then you're very welcome to do that via Discord. These are options though. Anyone can just come on and have a couple of minutes to have a little chat. Option 3, the Q&A box is already up and running. Thank you, Isla. There's bonus topics and questions go here for the end of the show is the listing there. But yes, any questions, any comments, anything but riddles. You can tell me a joke. Say anything that hasn't been addressed. So if you're talking in here and I'm missing what you want to say, or you've got something really important, really critical, just stick it in that box at the end of the show. I run through all of those one by one to make sure they at least get some acknowledgement, if not a direct answer. There's certain things that Tony in particular will ask that won't get a direct answer, but you can try. Give it a go. You're driving. I missed your message. I'm sorry. Invite invalid. Isla is driving at the moment, so if you're still around when she's finished driving, we'll figure out the Discord invite and get you a valid one. Chronic, welcome. How hard do I reckon it'll be to get a Meta Quest 3 at launch? Hopefully not that hard, and hopefully very worthwhile. Well, we can talk about that bit in a bit. In a bit. What's option 4? So we've done option 1, 2, and 3. Option 4 is the super chat. Anybody is welcome to super chat. Minimum price this week is $1,304. It's gone up a slight amount since last week. If you super chat $1,304 or more, I will read your super chat. Yeah, that's a thing. Super chats are an option. I set these ridiculous prices because I don't want to encourage you to super chat. That's not really how I work. Tiny bit of inflation piece, so it's leveled off a bit. It's only $4 more than last week. Welcome, by the way. You can super chat. The option's there, but makes me uncomfortable and I'm not asking you to do that, so I set a minimum price. We do have an option if you do want to show support through the intense financial showerings. You can become a channel badger. There is a membership option. It's like £3 a month and it just gets you a little badge and it's nice. I'd rather that than super chats, because then you get to be a badger. But these are the options. This is how the show works. Now let's get on with it. Every week we always start by talking about games that we're playing, because that's the most fun. Dave Mack, welcome. How is Starfield going for me? I don't know, Dave Mack. I'm not an influencer that gets early access to Starfield in exchange for... Actually, I don't want to say in exchange for a positive review, because there are legitimate reviewers getting hold of Starfield at the moment. There are legitimate reviewers getting hold of Starfield as of today, playing it right now. I am not one of them. Tony, you spend your Coke money on Asa drug dealer. What does that mean? Peter, gladiators were a couple of decades ago, but they haven't changed much. Wait. Oh, corporate rituals. Yes, you must have answered the question and I missed it. What did you do, Tom? So Tom had an exciting business social event, team building games. He went to... he just went to someone's garden in the country, played some pretty lame team building games and wrote on loads of post-it notes. Did this person, like, know you were coming, or did you just pick a garden at random and be like, I bet there's like a 50% chance there's no one home here, let's get in their garden and stick post-it notes everywhere. That's some team building. Influenza plus cold tea. I need more cold. I'm still sweaty. And the Discord link that was posted earlier is now apparently working. So that is the Game On Daily Discord if you want to get involved with. It's not super active because I'm never in there, and obviously I'm the one that people come to talk to. There's a few people that have a little back and forth in the chat on there. There's a place to get announcements and things. It is a Discord server. So if you want to be part of that, you're very welcome to hit that link and join it. It will become more relevant. So the Game On Daily channel has a brand new show coming soon. We've been saying that for over a year, but it's genuinely coming soon. And that will tie in with the Discord server more. So worth joining now if you haven't already. Cult influenza pallying Starfield. You could be right, Peter. I would expect that he is. You thought that was my wordplay. The influenza bit is the only bit of wordplay in there. You wish it was a random garden. It's just one of your co-workers' gardens. Is your business making like significant cost-saving measures, arranging team buildings in someone's garden. Good for them. Cost savings can help keep people in jobs. It's not always a bad thing, right? Ebola is the next pandemic with aliens probing us. Tony, are you suggesting that the aliens probes are not going to be like sanitized correctly? Aliens are going to come, they're going to do some harmless probing. Harmless, gentle probing. But Ebola is going to spread because they don't understand how to sanitize their equipment. Could be the case, but it's not. Games, which is what I want to talk about. Boozy the Clown, you played the Ascent until you met the flamethrowing giant spider robot and died nearly instantly. Game off it. You're of an age where dying in a game forces you to face your own fragile mortality. That's awful. Imagine that, playing a game and death having that much like impact on your mental state. That flaming spider is a pain in the ass the first time you get to him. Give it another go. I can't give you any like sound strategic advice because it was over a year ago that I fought that thing. And when the game first came out, that particular spider boss was bugged in such a way that you're supposed to get there and you're supposed to fight a spider boss. And it throws little spider bots on the ground as well that chase you and explode. You have to be really careful of those. But there was a bug where it kept throwing equally big boss leveled spiders instead. So if you were unlucky, you got to that section and you had to face like 8 of those spider bosses instead of 1. That was tougher. Yeah, just keep your distance from the little spider bots because they leap and explode. Shoot everything. Don't forget to spend your like skill up points and level up your weapons and all of that stuff. It's really good. I've also been playing the Ascent and I like it so much. I really enjoy that game. Tom told me that was 5 minutes from the end. It wasn't true. I've probably played it. I've been playing it over the course of since it came out, so it's been out for like 2 years. I've played it over the course of 2 years and not finished it. So every time I play it, I thoroughly enjoy it. Everything from gameplay to visuals to audio just hits right. But now that I've played multiple days in fairly quick succession, I get to see how it would drag for some people because the like the cadence of enemy spawns run from point to point to point and enemies spawn all around you almost rhythmically. I can see how that would drag over time. Still, overall, absolutely adore that game. Gonna finish it. Gonna keep it installed because it is so pretty that it will serve as a background, a source of backgrounds for these shows forever. Lost Boomer, I play it on the PC at the moment, although that's a topic of conversation for later as well. Or I have discovered a fairly stunning new platform as well. Bought Starfield on your Atari. It's called ET. Why did you buy it, Tony? Did you give up searching the deserts? Did any copies of that survive? Like, is it a collector's item out in the wild? The ET game's a legendary story where it was over manufactured and literally buried in a desert. Quality game, badly explained mechanics, but the shooting is satisfying. I didn't know the game had any mechanics besides the shooting. Point and shoot. One time I played it, I completely forgot that you were supposed to use both sticks, and it was still okay. Southmore, welcome. We already have Starfield at home. It's called No Man's Sky. Yeah, that's a fair way to make that comparison. I actually, no criticism to No Man's Sky. It is its own thing, but it is not remotely similar to Starfield in terms of how it delivers its content. Because obviously No Man's Sky is available in virtual reality, so it's better. Jokes. Don't hate me. Best of singles 6 shooters. Yeah, it worked well for me, Tom. I was getting by just fine. So yeah, that's one of the things that I've been playing. I've been playing The Ascent. I will probably, on next week's show, mention one last time that I played The Ascent a little bit more. Because I'm sure I am that close to the end now. Might even finish it today after this show. Offline, off stream, just get to the end. So that's one of mine and one of yours. Let's do more of yours as well. What have you all been playing? I've also played Gran Turismo 7. Some people like enjoy hating on Gran Turismo 7, and you always get a certain degree of like, this is a platform exclusive, so it's going to get a certain amount more vitriol and more passion than other games would anyway. But also, there are very legitimate reasons not to like Gran Turismo 7. And when the game came out, I was fairly scathing of it because there's a lot that I don't like about that game in terms of like how sterile it is and like legitimate criticisms, but in virtual reality it is genuinely so very, very good. It still has these horrible sterile menu systems that you get through as fast as you can, but then it sits you in a car. And I was doing Gran Turismo racing in different like weather and night, like daylight conditions, and it is so impressive. I've got, those of you that are regular, you know, like the hardware that I've got a good PC VR setup, and there are a lot of racing games on PC VR, and I can get one of those and make it overall crisper and prettier than Gran Turismo probably in most ways. But Gran Turismo is so well lit that it really is like special in virtual reality in a way that I've not played anything PC side in the racing scene that quite meets what it's doing. And it's just when you're driving around and you're looking in your mirrors and you've got these cars and you're playing at nighttime, and if a car approaches you with its headlights on in nighttime, like as you would expect from real life, the inside of your car is lit up by the headlights of the other cars, which sounds simple, but it's just like, oh, this is mesmerizing. And all the while you've got on all of the reflective surfaces in the car, it's got a reflection of the player character, like your racing helmet, so you can see yourself. When you're looking in the mirror, you can side eye, you can catch a glance of yourself looking to the left on the dash of the car. And it's like, I understand how in videos this game doesn't necessarily look brilliant, but all of these little touches when you're sitting in the car with a VR headset on it, it really is, it's so nice. It still has all of those other flaws that I mentioned before. It's sterile as fuck. The menu system is awful. There are many problems with it. No, Tony, not a Sephiroth song. There are many problems with it, but I'm enjoying it so much. What do you mean, Lost Boomer? Why sod PlayStation? You've been playing loads of stuff. You've been playing Ashen, Evil Within. What are you playing Evil Within on? That one has significant differences depending on where you play it. Sekiro, Lokoroko. Human Fall Flat and Rock Band 2. Who are you playing Human Fall Flat with? Rock Band 4, I should say. Which is a magical experience if you've got someone that's willing to sing. You're playing Evil Within on the PlayStation, but also sod PlayStation. So Evil Within 1, unfortunately, I don't want to like take anything away from your experience, but it's 100 times better on PC. Evil Within 2, you can play across any platform you want. Probably like Xbox Series is probably the best place to play it. Because Evil Within 2 got its enhancements for the One X and whatever. And it plays at 4K and it plays at full screen, and it's very nice on the consoles. The Evil Within 1 was a disaster on the consoles and never really got updated. PC can kiss your ass. Well, that's fair, but the Evil Within 1 in particular is of all the games that I've played, one of the ones that benefits most from being on PC. Because you can get rid of the black borders, you can play it at 4K 60 frames per second, and it's such a big difference over the console presentation. You hope that the Evil Within 3 comes. Me too. And I like the Evil Within 1 more than I like the Evil Within 2. Boomer, you sing and play guitar on stream. Well, that sounds entertaining. I'm going to try and catch one of those. Do you do that one on Twitch or YouTube? And can you sing, or is it like an abuse of the ears? Like this, Jordan, welcome. You would love an Evil Within 3, but which one do you prefer, Jordan? Evil Within 1 or Evil Within 2? Isn't Twitch like difficult for a Rock Band stream in terms of the MCA? YouTube is, I find, usually fairly forgiving in that you destroy someone could really mean either way. It could mean you're awful or amazing. YouTube is quite forgiving because you get a DMCA strike and they're like, you got a DMCA strike. Somebody else is going to make the money from this video. That's fine. I wasn't going to make any money anyway. But Twitch, they do have more of a tendency to give you strikes and take your channel away. You don't save them. Fair enough. That's true, actually. I know you don't save them. I looked. The Evil Within 1, you're skeptical before 2 launched because the semi-open world was still great. The first one is just brilliant. Yeah, the second one is still fun, but it's I don't know. It lacks the tension of the first one. You're on Twitch and getting away with it. That is just fine. That was always kind of my attitude towards it as well. But then I've never had like a really high value Twitch account to be too worried if I lost it. Starfield, 100 gigabytes on the X and 116 on the PC. Yes, so the X will have its reliable compression that they can't really use on the PC version. So the size difference makes sense. The console games are supposed to be smaller, even if all the textures are the same quality and stuff. But yes, big old game. Not bigger than like other games, contemporary games. That's quite a normal size for a game these days, right? Pain in the ass to download, pain in the ass to manage storage space, whichever platform you're playing on. But it is within like normal parameters. Let's do, oh, what else have I played actually? So more games. Feed me more games that you played. Peter, you finished Limbo. Not for the first time though, right? So you already knew that you love Limbo. You might have forgotten most of it, but you already knew. How long did it take you to get through it this time, and how many times would you estimate that you died? I still haven't played Limbo. I still will play Limbo. What else have I played? I've had ongoing battles with Red Dead Redemption 2 that simply will not launch. I really want to play Red Dead Redemption 2, and the more it refuses to launch, the more I want to play it. But not enough that I want to go and play it at half the frame rate. Like, if it had had a next gen patch, if Take-Two weren't arseholes and they'd let Microsoft double the frame rate, then I'd go and play it on the Xbox today. Be like, yeah, perfect, play it over there, that would be great. But Take-Two are arseholes. They won't let Microsoft do that. And this is slightly speculative. I'm like reading between the lines and making certain assumptions, but Take-Two are arseholes. They won't let Microsoft double the frame rate because they want to sell a Red Dead 2 remaster somewhere down the line, or because they think they might want to sell it down the line. Arseholes. Southmore, you've been playing Broforce Forever and a bit of Quake 2. So I downloaded Broforce Forever with the intent that I might play it at some point. I'm not sure if it's my kind of thing or not, but I'll try it and see. Quake 2 I haven't downloaded because I am going to play that one in VR. You can already play the whole of like original Quake 2 in VR, standalone on the Quest. But somewhere in the near future, my beloved Team Beef are going to port it to the PC as well. Then I'll be able to play Quake 2 campaign on my treadmill in virtual reality, and it will be too fun to pass up. I can wait until then. Vampire Survivor. Vampire Survivor. Vampire Survivors had a co-op update, didn't it? So you can play it 4-player now. I didn't do that. I can understand why you would want to if you've got people to play with. Broforce, the characters are pure 80s action hero-tastic. Peter, you looked at Marble It Up Ultra for 5 minutes and Chance of Stenna. I've never heard of either of those games, so I'm going to look up because I haven't used the old haven't used the YouTube trailer feature yet. Let's bring that up. Chance of, not the chair, Chance of Stenna trailer. Here we go. So Peter has looked at, let's have a look at the Nintendo Switch version. Peter has looked at this game. They're both on Game Pass. So I fired up the Xbox and I downloaded Broforce, I downloaded Limbo, I might have downloaded Quake 2, but I don't know why. And I think a couple of other like smaller games that I just thought, yeah, I might as well play those over there. Get them ready to go. This was not one of them, and it has puzzles. I hate this game. No, this is not for me. This is not for me. I can do learning, but I'm not decoding symbols. So have at it if that is your kind of game. I'm going to pass. I've got too much to play to be doing puzzles. Dion, welcome. What have you been playing? Lost Boomer, you don't need to ever apologize for spelling things wrong, dyslexia or otherwise. And I apologize if my drawing attention to the spelling has made you in any way uncomfortable. You don't need to be. Boozy, you tried Bramble until it killed you. Got lost in the woods at night looking for your sister who may have been wolfed by a big bad wolf. I hear that Bramble is quite awkward mechanically. Like it's not very responsive, doesn't play very well, but is otherwise like very atmospheric and good to play. Typos could be fun, and if it didn't offend you, then good. I'm sure there's more that I've been playing. Red Dead Redemption didn't happen. No, I did. I don't know. I'm sure I'll play some other things, but let's run into some of the topics, eh? Let's run into some of the topics. Gonna play next week. Bramble. Limbo. You still need to finish with less than 3 deaths. Lost Boomer. Is that for an achievement? I didn't read you, Isla. I do. I read everything. Can't get anything past me. I'm gonna scroll. You've been playing Wandering Village and Age of Empires. Yeah, this is actually quite remarkable. Like, this is episode 57. If you watch any of the other 56 episodes, Isla would have played Minecraft, The Sims, Plants vs. Zombies. Some combination of those 3 games, maybe Animal Crossing. But you've been going wild. You've been playing Age of Empires and a whole new game in this wandering, what's it called? Village buildy dinosaur game. Wandering Village is good. Wandering Village is in preview / early access though, right? So I should wait if I was going to consider touching that. Tom, you had a quick whiz on Remnant 2 earlier. Don't have a whiz on your games. You tested a new weapon mod. So do the weapon mods in that one, is there quite a bit of like diversity and customization in the way you build your own character? You've evolved to try new games, which is good because you're going to try a new game with us tomorrow, aren't you? And maybe on Sunday. So coming up on the games, things that I haven't played yet but will have played by next week. Tomorrow is the start of a decades-long run of Baldur's Gate 3. Chronic, you've been living on it. You're a noob to Dungeons & Dragons and turn-based gameplay. And you don't enjoy the turn-based gameplay, but the story and choices make up for all of it. Just wish your GPU was up to the task. I'm going to use that for my next topic then. No, I'm not. Oh, no, yes I am. No, I'm not. Let me look at the order that I listed the topics on the YouTube channel. That's how I'm going to do it. So Baldur's Gate 3, 9 o'clock tomorrow. So the same time this show started, but actually on time. Tomorrow, I will be starting a campaign on that. Don't know what kind of character I'm going to be. Don't know what kind of choices I'm going to make, but do anticipate that being lots of fun. Isla will be there. My wife will be secretly there, but you won't see or hear from her. She'll just be controlling one of the party members and introducing. I was going to say that she'll be introducing chaos. To be fair, I probably introduce most of the chaos. She'll probably be quite a calming influence, but chaos in that I don't control it. Tell you when you can do your cameo. Yeah, if we can do that whenever you want. Whenever you're feeling comfortable and you've got in front of your PC and you want to get on Discord, stick yourself there and we'll do it. May you suggest a druid? You can suggest Chronic, but now because you suggested druid, that is the one class that I cannot be. Shitloads of build diversity in Remnant 2. I really want to play Remnant 2. It's on the list of games that are very brave to release this year because there are so many things to play. Druids can be badgers. No, you can't sell me on it. You can't say things that are going to change my mind. You can like name every other class so that I'm back to a neutral position, but that's your only option. I don't know that I'll be a druid. I'm going to have a look at the characters. I'm going to see what kind of person-ish type thing I can build and what class feels right for them. Set them a little backstory and go from there. So I don't know what I'm going to be, but something to look forward to. It will be fun. I'm sure it'll be fun. I really, really very much enjoyed the Divinity Original Sin games. I do like the turn-based stuff, unlike you, and I do like choice and consequence and chaos very, very much. So, Osboom, you're going to sleep? You got work in 7 hours. No worries. Have a good night. Thank you for stopping in. Let's do topics. I need the only place where I kept any vague idea of what the topics are is the description of the YouTube stream. So let's start from the beginning, which doesn't neatly segue from anything that any of you have said. But hey, structure is good for the soul. And for those of you that have one of those, I'm going to keep a tiny bit of structure. So, first topic, Xbox are attempting to tackle toxic online behavior with a new 8-strike system. Not the first time that Xbox have tried to manage toxicity on Xbox Live, which is no longer Xbox Live, but you know what I mean. What do we think of that? Who here is toxic? Who here is concerned about the 8-strike system? Who here is desperate for online lobbies to get cleaned up, to get policed? And who here is scared of losing their entire digital library because someone misunderstood them, misheard what they said? Too many strikes, so you'd rather it was a stricter limit. So the way that it works at the moment is an 8-strike system. If you get struck out 8 times, then you're banned for a year. But certain offences are worth more than 1 strike. So I've not actually looked at the maximum you can get in one go, but if you go full on like offensive hate speech, you're probably going to knock up like 3, 4, 5 strikes at a time and lose your account very quickly. The last one, no, you can't say the last one, Tom, because like after I finished a sentence, I don't remember what that sentence was. You have to be very specific. Boozy the Clan, you're Scottish, your toxicity is purely for punctuation purposes. Yeah, I think you might get away with that. I don't think they're going to start. I guess it does depend on what you're playing. Like, if you're playing a game of Roblox, then it might be reasonable to expect you not to swear too much. I don't know. That's not really how it works, is it? But should it be? I don't know. Who enjoys the toxicity? Who longs for the days of Call of Duty lobbies where you could say what you want? And if you manage to get a rise out of anyone, then you've done a grand job. PC, you don't use your voice anymore because back in the 360 days, it was incredibly toxic. But on the other hand, you did get a 24-hour ban a few years ago. Do you know? I'm assuming from the question mark, you don't know why you got a 24-hour ban? Is it checked by AI? That's a good question. I don't know how they mean to... Like, we know that Xbox doesn't offer privacy, right? They don't claim that if you're having a chat over their system that there's nobody will ever be able to check a recording and see what you said. So it is open. It would make a lot of sense for AI to scour it, much as I hate AI. It's like the only practical way of actually monitoring online lobbies. But they haven't mentioned that that's what they're doing. I think they're still more reliant on players reporting players. You hate toxicity. I also am not a fan. Chronic, you just sent me something on Twitter that explains your reasoning behind the druid. You don't have the energy to suggest every character. You don't actually have to suggest every character. I've heard other people say that the druid is great fun. I'm going to check what you sent me. Bear with me. Bear with me. And I'm not actually... I don't mind. Oh, actually, I saw that headline before. I didn't read it. You picked your Baldur's Gate 3 classes and used his game's radar. Picked the Baldur's Gate 3 class on a whim and now can't imagine playing anything else. Druids can do anything. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I literally don't know what classes are available. I can't promise to be a druid or otherwise. We'll find out tomorrow because I will make it. Sometimes it might be like a really short guy with a head fetish or something. Or it might be like, I don't know. I've not got any good ideas for a character. Don't. It's not going to be a short guy with a head fetish. But I like to give him an obscure backstory, and then see what class fits that backstory. Could be like a more sadistic rogue who just likes to watch stuff get poisoned and die slowly. Plays their whole game like that. It could be someone more manipulative who presents really friendly and noble but is actually an evil piece of shit. That's quite a... I do that build of character fairly frequently. So who knows? You're a dark elf warlock with a grudge. This is the kind of thing, you see, you've made up that grudge, it's not real. Isla, are you going to tell your teammates what you're picking so we can balance the group? No. Yes. I mean, we have to pick it at the same time, Isla. You can't make it in advance. The way that the multiplayer works, you're going to have to arrive at like 8:30. Join the game and make the character from there. I do recommend firing up Baldur's Gate 3 and seeing what kind of thing you might want to build so that it doesn't take 6 hours to just make characters. But yes, we will be making them at the same time. And no, we don't need a balanced group. We just need chaos and fun. Yeah, plan ahead. That's what I'm saying. Do some of that. Do some planning ahead. Got a companion like your rogue that I talked up. Good. I assume there's too many companions to actually like bring them all along and get to know all of their stories. So that's good. You don't take that long. You know what you like. Well, maybe. I don't know how much depth there is to the character creator really, but I'm told it's a lot. Welcome, Space Denizen. How are you doing? And Baz is here as well. Welcome, Baz. Evening, gamers. That's everyone. Everyone here is gamers. Good evening. What have you two been playing? There's a fly on my screen. It's driving me crazy. Piss off, fly. Hate it so much. What do you want from a TV? Get out of the way. What's my wife's favourite colour? My wife's favourite colour is me. Probably. You'll be able to change your appearance soon as you unlocked it. I don't want to change my appearance. I want to be stuck with it. Starfield character creation might be a mare for you. So many choices. Yes, Peter. Like, character creators can suck a lot of time. But I'm probably mostly going to play Starfield in first person anyway, so I won't spend too long shaping my forehead. Is it also green? We can't all be green. I'm not sure. I can't give you an answer. I don't know anything about her. I'm a terrible husband. Ah, this is sad. The traits and skills are going to take time. Yeah, you need traits and skills even in first person. You're right there, Peter. And no, Isla, I don't know my wife's favourite traits and skills either. I also assume that that's just me. Episode 13, don't watch me on TV. You can, but yeah. You hope the third person camera is better in Starfield. Better than what? Better than it was in Cyberpunk or better than it was in... Could you go third person in Skyrim? I've only played it in VR for the last long time. What have you missed? We've just been talking games so far. We're just briefly starting the first topic, which is the new Xbox enforcement system, behaviour enforcement. I don't know what they're calling it, but I'm going with behaviour enforcement system. 8 strikes and you're banned for a year. Which, by the way, is just like... I was very curious about that because banning people is a very touchy subject that a lot of people are quite quick to quite thoughtlessly get behind, but Microsoft having the capacity within their terms to take away a digital account is like, it is very dubious. They have it, there's nothing we can do about it, they have it, but we should never encourage them to use it. Even if it doesn't affect us. We don't really want Microsoft to have the power to remove the entirety of our digital library that we've paid for. Just because, I don't know, someone reported us in a lobby or anything like that, or for using VPNs. But exactly, it's not a simple subject because I'm all for enforcement and people that are spewing hate everywhere or just be in trouble. I'd like to see them banned off the platform. I'd like to see them unable to bother me whatsoever. But I don't like the idea that I could potentially lose my digital library. I'm really nice. It's very unlikely that I'm going to upset anyone. If I do upset anyone, it'll be like I'll be on the right side of it. But the idea that you can like have thousands of games and have them taken away isn't right either. So this isn't an issue here. Microsoft is saying that if you get these 8 strikes, you're banned for 1 year, which is it's still a little bit off. Like I would, if I were banned for a year, if I got 8 strikes, I would lose obviously all of Game Pass, but also something like 1,000 games on Xbox I wouldn't have access to for a year. Even offline, I wouldn't be able to play a single player game on the Xbox, I would imagine, if they took my account away. Maybe I'd be able to play the ones that I had on disc if I started again. And you never know what an asshole might trigger accidentally. Exactly, Space Denizen. So a year is better than permanent. But digital libraries, funny enough, it's something that gets touched on in a video that's going to be releasing on this channel, coincidentally before any of this news broke. Digital libraries and rights over content. There are a lot of questions, valid questions. Valid questions. But I think, like, pretty much, and I could be missing it, I could be misreading chat here, but I think most people would actually quite like to see lobbies be a little less toxic, right? I haven't seen anybody say, oh, I love the toxicity, it's what I go on for, or I love the arguments, or like bring it, have thick skin, all of that kind of stuff that you hear. I'm not hearing much of that in response to this. You don't think toxic people should lose what they've purchased? They should just be banned from playing online. Yeah, account bans do more than that though, don't they? Because Gaz isn't in the chat, yes. You haven't seen much toxicity recently on console. What multiplayer games have you been playing on console though? Because if you're playing by yourself and you're not seeing much toxicity, then good for you. That's like pleasant self-reflection. Sitting there playing through like the campaign for Starfield going, oh, I'm up in quite a nice character. Good job, me. Certain games had very shitty voice communities. Right, every big game ends up with a shitty voice community. It's inevitable. And if it doesn't have a shitty voice community, it's because they're all typing on keyboards instead. Big games have shit communities because most of humanity is shit. Sad fact of life. Are there any big games that have nice communities? Online, mostly Overwatch 2. Yeah, that's got a shit community. I don't believe you that you're not hearing toxicity there. Overwatch is full of like nastiness. Episode 13, you've been banned for a day or so over the years, mainly in text chat. But now you know not to swear. Plus you've appealed a few times and got the bans overturned, as it was the other player causing the issue. Yeah, bring in like work on themselves with that system, I suppose. But then we do pay for Xbox Live, don't we? Kind of, maybe, if we're on the console and not the PC. Boozy, you rarely play with randoms, and Mike's always party chat with old friends. You got banned on Sea of Thieves for messaging a bad word after being slaughtered whilst trying to chill. 24 hours no comms. Yeah, other punishments. See, I don't know the punishments because I never get punished because I'm so nice. Don't think I've had anything inflicted on me. Remember when Xbox had a reputation system? Like a cross-platform, like not cross-platform, but a system-wide reputation. It had communities. This is the Xbox 360 days when gold was worth playing for, and when you were setting up your profile, you could choose what kind of player you were. Like, I'm a competitive player. I'm a relaxed player. I can't remember. There were 4 categories, and I can only remember the competitive one and the relaxed one. Can't remember what the other 2 were, but you could kind of determine who you are and what kind of people you're going to play with, and then you had a cross the system reputation system. So if you started swearing at someone on Halo and then you went to play like a Forza game or whatever was around in those days, Project Gotham Racing, your reputation could get tanked down. And if it was really low, it was presented on a little dial like a speedometer, and if it was really low, you'd only get matched against other people who had shit reputations as well. Dipshit, I don't think was one of the 4 options. I'm sure it was. Like, I'm sure there was an option there to say, actually, I'm going to be an arsehole, but I don't think they worded it quite like that. And yeah, it got stripped away completely. Like, there is no reputation system like that anymore, or there probably is, but it's masked, it's hidden from us if there is. I'm pretty sure it's just labeled dipshit, all in capitals. Competitive, casual, dipshit, something else. Rumor, Nintendo Switch 2 to have 24 frames per second to keep cinematographer experience. Well, Tony. Switch 2 is not a topic for today. EA ruined Xbox Live. Boozy, are you reaching back to the story of when they threatened to withhold FIFA and Madden from Xbox if Microsoft didn't allow them to use their own servers. Because I thought this was like lost knowledge, secrets lost to time. Until they got access to their own servers, everything just worked. Yeah. There's like that's true and quite an interesting little tale for Xbox Live, but I don't think Xbox Live as it was set up on the 360 would still be viable today anyway. So EA probably sped that process along, but Microsoft's goal of not letting anybody connect off of Xbox Live wouldn't have been viable today. They're big enough today that they could have the infrastructure for it, but you know, different times. I mentioned that in a video recently. This was on the original Xbox. Yeah, they threatened. So, for those that don't know, when Xbox Live was established, Microsoft's policy for it was that nobody connecting on an Xbox could get to any server, any network infrastructure that wasn't owned by Microsoft. You were connecting to other Xboxes and to Microsoft servers. And if a developer wanted to have like dedicated servers for their game, they'd have to be Microsoft servers. They couldn't spin those up themselves and let you connect to them. Party chat as well. Yeah, absolutely everything was entirely Xbox, closed ring. And there's benefits to that. Like there are legitimate security conscious reasons as well as control and monetization and all the rest of it, the more sinister reasons that go with it. And EA was so powerful, like FIFA and Madden were such big licenses, they just said, no, we're not going to let you have these games at all if you don't let us use what was the fledgling Origin service, so EA's own system of friends and matchmaking and all of that stuff. And like EA have been historically villains in many situations, but you can also understand their perspective as well, because they're making games for like 4 different platforms, and they're making matchmaking systems and friends list and all of these things. They've got their servers up and running, and there's just one platform that says, no, you have to do it our way. So they said, no, we're not going to do it your way. Microsoft buckled. It's very similar. The only other company that I know that behaves in that way, this isn't true, Activision definitely behave in that way, but the stuff that's going on with Epic around crossplay is very, very similar. The Epic made Fortnite big enough that when they then went to Sony and said, actually, you are going to let us have crossplay on Fortnite, Sony had very little choice but to make it work. History. Open standards are better in general. Long live PC. Xbox Live has always been the best for chatting and making friends. Maybe. Like, Xbox still have that legacy and reputation in the online space. I wouldn't say I made more friends on Xbox than I did playing PC games, though. I've said before, the Xbox 360 era, when Xbox Live Gold was a thing, that was a special time to play online, and actually I think did justify its subscription price. Xbox Live today doesn't justify a subscription in the same way. Tony, you're going to go. You got to take T-Rex to a school meeting before school starts. Hopefully I won't be here when you get back, but if I am, then I am. Dream of your big thighs squeezing my face. God Emperor Sofa King is here to replace Tony. Tony, I'm not going to have that dream, I'm sorry. But enjoy your school meeting. Peter, Starfield digital art book and original soundtrack nearly installed. You wonder if they can be accessed before launch. Is this what you get? The premium special early access edition? It's a digital art book and original soundtrack plus early access, or is there something else to it? Boozy the Clown is a closed ring. No internet access available. 512k connections, was it? On... I don't remember the connection speed on the Xbox. But that's fair enough. I remember the connection speeds on the Dreamcast. There are some very Tony questions in the Q&Asa box. Good, the Q&A box. We'll get there later. PC gamers, more like pissy gamers, sometimes painful discourse. I'm definitely pissy when Red Dead Redemption 2 refuses to launch after I wrestle it back from my Russian adversaries. I really want to play Red Dead Redemption 2 and I can't. 30 quid for early and some bits and pieces. Plus the first... Wait, plus the first what? The first DL. Is there DLC planned for Starfield? Like that they've already announced as being a thing. Is this not a bit... Wait, is this not a bit pointless for so many people use Discord? Wait, I'm lost, Replicant. It's not... It's what pointless? I was talking about ancient history before people use Discord. Which is why I say... you mean that Xbox won't be able to enforce things because of Discord? Discord's different though. Like, game lobbies aren't open to Discord, are they? So if you're being toxic on Discord, you're being toxic to people that have invited you into their group. I think it's reasonable for people to self-manage Discord, whether you're going to allow people in there or not. Like, communities can manage themselves there. The problem around Xbox and the reason they've got this strike system in place, I would think, is more to do with the open conversations and chat lobbies in games and proximity chats and things like that, where people haven't consented to you abusing them verbally. The SF, the Starfield upgrade includes the first expansion. See, I've been avoiding most Starfield info because I intend to play it, so I don't need to know much. I didn't know that they were planning expansions. It's obviously not a completely unheard of thing for Bethesda, because the Shimmering Isles broke several of my Xboxes. But I didn't know there was already Starfield DLC announced. Space Denison, you love Discord. I also like Discord because it actually works when I want to talk to people on it. Baz, have I tried Quake 2 yet? I haven't. I'm saving Quake 2 because I can play it all in VR on my treadmill. Starfield Shattered Space. That's the name of the expansion as well. Fair enough. I was under the impression that the game was so big that I would never need them to do an expansion. But it's neat that they are. Your neck hurts. How unusual. You can't report about being in a party. Yeah, so parties and Discords are handled in a similar way in that sense. Anyway, so that's the Xbox Strike system, which people seem to be broadly in favour of, despite concerns over digital libraries being out of our control, right? Space Denison, am I going to play Quake 2 with standalone mod? So I've got Quake... blah, blah, blah. Space Denizen is talking about the Team Beef standalone conversions of various games. You can play the entirety of Quake 1, 2 and 3 in virtual reality without even having a PC. You can play it natively on the Quest headsets or the Pico headsets. I've got Quake 3, I've tried that. One thing that they're doing though, Space Denizen, is Team Beef are converting their already done conversions over to OpenXR. This is nerd stuff that nobody else will care about, so I'll go through it very quickly. But they're converting them like they did with the Jedi Knights Academy and whatever else they've done, converting them over to OpenXR and then porting them to PC as well. So if they do that with Quake 2, and they've spoken very briefly to me on Twitter to say that it's possibly planned for the future, if they do it on Quake 2, then it's possible I'll even be able to play the enhanced version that's just been released in PC VR, which in some ways isn't as useful. So the old Dooms and Quakes and Wolfensteins and things like that, they work really well natively on a Quest. But if I get them on PC, I can also use my treadmill. I can't run as fast as a typical Quake 3 arena guy, but it'll still be really fun. So yes, I can't wait. Tom, you're not in favour. You care more about game ownership. You think society in general is getting less... You think society in general is getting less toxic? Oh, there's a novel take that I haven't seen. Maybe it's time for me to step out and embrace society again and see how it's progressing. Maybe I've judged them too harshly. That's actually, that's genuinely quite interesting to me, because I've not heard anyone say that, and it might be true. That's like... The theory of being progressive is that you make progress and things get better, but I didn't know how real that was. So, does anybody else feel that? Is Tom onto something, or are things as bad as ever? Like, in the online gaming space in particular, are things cleaning up a bit naturally over the course of time? Or is it as bad as ever? Space Citizen, you're hoping for Quake 1 and 2 PC VR mod. Not to be to suggest that they were low priority because PC mods already exist, but those mods are out of date. Yeah, I think their plan is still, low priority it might be, but they are moving gradually everything over to OpenXR, which is useful. And maybe the Quake 2 remaster will put it up on their list. I asked them more specifically because the Quake 2 remaster includes some new content. So Machine Games did a new expansion to it, or a new campaign within Quake 2, and I asked them if there was any way of getting that working. Replicant, you wouldn't try playing Rainbow Six Siege today as a returning player. It depends. Well, all big games have toxic audiences as far as I can tell. Rainbow Six Siege is established and has arseholes. Painful discourse, pissy mods. We're all going to die as a society because of some pissy mods. Oh, PC mods, of course. I remember. Sorry, Painful discourse. That should like immediately make sense because it was only 10 minutes ago that you mentioned the pissy thing. Painful discourse. You finished Quake 2 and Quake 2 64. So, are you playing that on console? Are you playing Quake 2 on a controller, or are you playing through it on PC? Who else has decided to give Quake 2 a go since the update? It's very nice to see that even though they're Xbox owned now, the update for Quake 2, if you own Quake 2 on Steam, it was just delivered as a patch. It's just an update, nice and simple. Right? Yeah, there's an update for Quake 2, which I happen to have installed because I was playing around with the Quake 2 RTX, so Nvidia's tech demo basically, fully path traced Quake 2. In order to play that, you have to have base Quake 2 installed. So I had it installed and it's like, oh, there's a 3.5 gig update for Quake 2. What a nice way to do it, right? Nintendo can learn from Bethesda. Quake 2's quality, you're playing on Xbox with mouse controller hybrid. Oh, mouse controller hybrid is the dream. That's like the best of both worlds. When people say that keyboard and mouse is better than controller, they specifically mean mouse. You can aim very differently with a mouse, but controllers, like analog directional movement, combined with that mouse accuracy and twitch reflex, that would be the competitive way to play. But VR is the fun way to play. Sneeze, don't mind me. So Tom, I'm very aware and protective of digital ownership, but also, you know, if I was like that concerned, I wouldn't go the digital route. So who am I to complain if Microsoft ban my account because I sneezed wrong and I lose access to thousands of games that I bought digitally? It'll be my own fault for not buying them on disc. Quake 2 multiplayer is fun. I still want the standalone Quake 3 on the Quest is actual full-on PC Quake, which means in theory I could mod it however I want. I want to mod 3-wave capture the flag into it, which is what I used to play as a teen, and set that up for a cross-platform VR pancake, like light-hearted fun times. But it's a project that's on the back burner. I've not had time to look into it. You remember playing Wolfenstein 3D on the Jaguar and Cannon Fodder? I remember Cannon Fodder, not on the Jaguar, but if you had the option to buy everything on disc, yes, indeed, Tom, there are games that you can't even buy on disc, such as Baldur's Gate 3, right? And Alan Wake 2, as well as the service games like ones that make more sense. Return to Castle Wolfenstein multiplayer beach assault map. Multiplayer was peak fun. Was this online multiplayer or like couch multiplayer or even LAN multiplayer? You can't access the Starfield art book and soundtrack. Let's be fair, they haven't charged you yet. It's not fair, Peter. Be outraged. Be outraged and go and complain on the Twitter. Threaten to leave negative user ratings on Metacritic or something like that. Speaking of digital libraries and them being protected or otherwise, minor news, won't cover this one for very long. The Xbox 360 digital store is closing. Does anyone still have an Xbox 360? I still have an Xbox 360. I have a launch model Xbox 360 with no HDMI port, which means I have no idea if it has the bad solder. So the red ring of death on the 360 was caused by bad solder, right? They had late in development of that console right before it launched, they changed to a lead-free solder for the sake of the environment and all the rest of it. They were like, yeah, this lead-free solder, that's an ethically sound choice. Let's use that. Very last minute. And the lead-free solder had a much lower melting point than the solder that they were originally using in the design specification. And the rest is history. They released it with this lead-free solder. That solder melted on a lot of people, and the console presented a 3/4 circle red ring of death. Why am I even talking about that? Yeah, so I've got a launch model Xbox 360, and I don't know if it's a refurbed one that had the solder replaced with nice poisonous lead solder, or if that console would stop working if I tried to play the Shimmering Isles. Tom, you've got a 360, or your niece has. It's on a long-term loan. So 360, like, it was before digital libraries were popular, but it had so most of the digital library like content on 360 would have been Xbox Live Arcade and the Xbox Live Indie Corner, but they probably did progress into full releases later in its life, right? So the launch models of the Xbox 360 could potentially have had no hard drive at all, or you had like a 20 and 60 gig options. So you wouldn't have been downloading AAA games on it. The digital store can't have been popular, but Live Arcade was popular, and the Indie Corner had a lot of content as well. So I'm assuming that when they closed down the 360 store, all of that goes away, and the only way that you can get 360 games digitally from that point forwards is to go on an Xbox Series console or an Xbox One and get the ones that are available through the back compat program. What do we think? Are people passionate about this? Like, are Microsoft in the wrong for shutting down the 360 store, or is it pretty reasonable to close it down now? Obviously, if it were making any money, if people were buying things on it, then they wouldn't close it down. But on the other hand, you've got Phil Spencer and by extension Cole Eastwood constantly telling you how good it is for game preservation. Like, is shutting down the 360 store contrary to that, or is it not a big deal? It's been 19 years. Episode 13, you are correct. It has been 19 years. Can you still get Geometry Wars? Geometry Wars was included. It was part of Project Gotham, right? Or are you talking about buying it separately? No, because it's still there. BC is still there. So back compat is still there. You can still buy them there. And the back compat program is brilliant, and everybody loves it. But it is like a fraction of the total library. So there are going to be games there that... The thing is, so for me, and I think you'll probably agree, episode 13, like, the digital store was never about preservation and longevity. That's always been like an acknowledged downside of digital libraries. So yeah, exactly. So shady. I'm not watching it, it's behind me, but yeah. So I don't think a lot of people got upset a couple of years ago when PlayStation went to shut down the PlayStation 3 store. And I say a lot of people, I don't mean a lot of people. I mean there was quite a vocal outcry from a small number of people. You got plenty of notice. Yeah. July 24 it goes down. Yeah, I mean, I don't have strong feelings about it. Obviously, I don't know like the cost for Microsoft to maintain that store. And the cost of it is obviously not just keeping servers up, but it's like maintaining it in terms of security and all the rest of it. Because Microsoft can't have a store open that over the course of time has security exploits. They can't be responsible for that. So closing it down is like a significant saving in that regard, but I don't know how much of saving. Microsoft aren't short of money and all the rest of it, so I don't know. It's just a topic, right? I don't think I don't think I really have any digital content on the Xbox 360 myself, apart from like cloning Clyde maybe from Xbox Live Arcade. There'll be the odd handful of things. I think most of the digital 360 content that I would have would have been via Games with Gold rather than actual stuff that I went on and bought. Makes sense time-wise? Yeah, I don't know. What's the dashboard look like on an Xbox 360 now? If you go and like plug in an old one, I assume it still downloads a certain amount of updates. Doesn't have the blades, does it? What does it look like? Oh, does it still have that one with the avatars on the white floor? Has anyone got the OST yet? It's not a new OST, Isla. I was slacking today. So I put up one that we've had on the show before, as well as a background that we've had before. I liked the blades as a system to navigate. Plus they weren't like stacked with adverts, which was always nice. But if you look at the library on the 360 store, there's nothing there taking most of the best games off of it. Wait. If you look at the library on the 360 store, there's nothing there. They've taken most of the best games off of it. Okay, so they've already delisted a lot of content before closing the store down completely. Well, that sucks. Yeah, I guess you stop hearing about it after a while. Like you get a few examples where people will tell you what's missing. What am I seeing on YouTube? Don't know. I'm seeing a conversation on this show, but it's not the same conversation. YouTube is confusing me. Don't mind me. Blaze was your favourite, but the Islands Dash was the best use of Xbox avatars. Is that the one that I'm talking about with the white floor, where you could shift through and see what all your friends were up to? Avatars, eh? Isla, you remember saying last time it really reminded you of the haunted house part of Klonoa. Okay, that is a memory, yes. Let's do. So, everyone's like not too outraged that the Xbox 360 store is going to be shut down next year. I assume the 360 itself will still function just fine. If you already own a game and you want to play it online, all of that stuff's still going to be there. I think, unless I'm mistaken, I think if you've already bought your games on the 360, you can still download them on the 360. Is that right? Like they're not taking away content that people have already bought? Because if they're not taking away content, I see little reason to be too angry about it. Get your games now if you've got good memories. So that's quite a nice way to shut the store, because they obviously could be a lot worse. It would be like almost expected that if you shut down the store for the Xbox 360, it then becomes impossible to download all of the things that you've already bought on the 360. And if they're not doing that, if they're making provisions so that anything that you bought you actually still can go and download, that's like a positive step. Like going slightly beyond. It shouldn't be slightly beyond, it should be what we expect, but it's slightly beyond what a lot of companies would do. So, happy with that. Let's go on to the next one. So, Shady, there's 3 Series X's in your house, and one of them refuses to update to the new dashboard. You checked it last night at 2 AM. It tells you there's nothing available. The other 2 consoles beg to differ. Do you care about the dashboard? Like, do you look at the dashboard much? I spend no time on the Xbox dashboard. I use the guide menu quite a bit to flick between things that I need. But typically, the most used part of it would probably be like scrolling the Game Pass library or my library to launch a game from there. I don't spend much time there besides, but each console has to be registered to the dashboard. You don't care, you just find what's happening kind of odd, that's all. Yeah, I mean, weird staggered rollouts. I think it is a bit odd that you haven't got it at all, because I thought they were on final stages of everyone should get it now, but better fly. Let's do the next topic. 360 dashboard, not big drama, everyone is content. Oh, I don't know this one. Someone tell me the quote. Final Fantasy XIV and XVI's director Yoshi-P thinks that the world would be a better place if there was only one console. Someone give me like the actual interpretation of what he said. I'm gonna look it up. But what do we think? Like, obviously the story that people ran away with was like the most sensationalized version of that quote, that he probably wants like everyone except PlayStation to die or something like that. What did he actually say though? Yoshi-P, one console, let's see. Final Fantasy XVI producer Yoshi-P wishes all gamers played games on a single console. Yeah, that's not the quote though. I want the quote. You were thinking in terms of development. Well, if you want to be like the opposite of sensationalist and talk in realistic terms of what he probably was referring to, as a developer, having one target platform has obvious, very clear advantages, and that is probably what he was talking about. But let's see what he says. Final Fantasy XVI producer and Final Fantasy XIV director sat down where he said that he wishes that all players play games on a single console. Yoshida says, well, in truth, as for game hardware, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I really wish there was one platform. Really, everyone, please make it one platform, because making those games and playing it would be easier. Is that really controversial? It would be like nice to have some follow-up, and this is translated via like what he was saying. He said in Japanese, it's translated to English, so I don't know for sure. Like the accuracy, generally the words can be accurate, but it can be quite awkward to capture the intent. Risky for the biscuit. What do you mean no? What do you mean no? No what? Because he could mean like he wishes there was one platform. Like that platform could be PC, where there's a range of hardware, but you're just making a PC game and scaling it for everyone. Would be easier than making it across like multiple APIs. Or it could mean he just literally wants one target spec of hardware because it makes his life easier. No more console wars. I mean, I'm all for no more console wars. That would suit me just fine. Would we have to queue up for a shot at it? But literally one console. Yeah, it'll be like where I started my gaming, a little adventure playground where there's one console in the back. Yoshi-P's like, here is one copy of Final Fantasy XVII. I'm afraid it's a 100-hour game, and you're all going to have to take it in turns. Next topic, no. Brisket, no. Everyone wants to be VHS. I mean, it is quite unique to gaming that we have different target platforms, and it's not necessarily a good thing. People talk about competition, and competition is really important. You wouldn't want, if you were going to reduce it all down to one platform, it couldn't be PlayStation or Xbox or Nintendo, because that would be awful. Yeah, I know it's common sense, Boozy. I'm sure he's talking from a development perspective, and it's very much common sense. But the concept of having one platform, I don't want there to be one platform, but to have games operate on an open standard, that would not necessarily be bad. So Shady translation, it's easier and cheaper for him to make games. Forget the fact that if it happened, price gouging and monopolistic practices console gamers would be slaves to. It would be brutal. See, that's the bit so Shady. That's where I thought the conversation would go, and that's the bit that I typically don't buy into. So I think if it were just Sony or just Nintendo or just Microsoft, like just one company literally controlling the platform, then you would obviously have massive issues with monopolistic practices, price gouging, all the rest of it. Like, you can't give a single company control over everything in that way. But if it was an open standard, then competition would be really interesting to me. Like, if Starfield just worked across every console out of the box in a hypothetical world, it wouldn't mean that there's no competition. It would mean that there was different competition, and it'd be really interesting to see how like Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo would then approach making their hardware appealing and making their platform appealing. Because then we'd be in a good position for hardware power and price and value. Risky it, not to mention there'd be no more console wars. Gaz would be out of business and your Twitter would die. I support this happening. I mean, I support everybody's Twitter dying. Gaz's business is my business, so I don't really want that to end. But yeah, no, Twitter can go. Greed would ruin everything. Greed is already, yes, greed would ruin everything. But competition would still be healthy. So you'd have, like, I think the best example of it is still the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 generation. You had two companies that delivered shit hardware. Like, both of those consoles weren't actually very good. And they competed because of the whole platforms and exclusives and all the rest of it. And you had to kind of buy everything. But a scenario where they had to compete by delivering the best piece of hardware or the best prices, the best value, best services, I'd be all for that. That would work out well for us, I think. And competition will never die in terms of like games themselves, because they're like, people are always going to have finite resources, finite money, finite time that developers have to compete for. So, Replicant, you'd argue that the current consoles aren't that good. See, I really like the current consoles. The last like PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, they were so far behind what I already had in my PC at the point that they launched that it was quite sad. The current consoles, the PlayStation 5 and the Series X, those were pretty decent PCs at the point that they came out, and even today when you look at like the price of PC hardware, they still have a pretty decent place in the market. I think they do justify their existence as hardware. If you ignore the exclusive libraries, if you ignore like, oh, I want to play God of War or I want to play Forza Horizon, like the specifics of the games that they have as hardware, I think they have some merit. I know they're getting a little bit old, like 3 years on, but they do still justify their existence, I think. I like this generation. Penguin the Animal, Chocolate Bar, or Book Publisher. The Book Publisher don't still exist. Nobody reads books today. Not. You're arguing about them Tim Tams that Riskit likes. Nobody knows what a Tim Tam is or tastes like. Self-mod Quick Resume and SSD fast loading are awesome. Yes, they are. And I know the CPUs aren't all singing, all dancing like people want, because AMD are not as good as as Intel, really. Like, they've not aged very gracefully, the processors in there, but they are so much better than the processors that came out in the previous gen. Like, so much better. But I really like the consoles, and I'm saying this as someone who's like spends too much time on the PC and virtual reality and all the rest of it. I think they're good hardware. Selfmole, you know what Tim Tam is. Bit overrated, to be honest. Well, I'm not wading into the biscuit wars. I'm not. Any more so than the console wars. Nah, more so than the console wars. I will try your biscuits and tell you which one is best. Let's do the next topic. What is the next topic? Does anyone know? I know. Oh, let's really touch on Starfield. So Starfield is, as of right now, there are people around the world playing it to form their opinions, to deliver reviews to us. Does anyone care what they have to say? And I don't mean this really disrespectfully. Like, I think reviewers within the gaming space serve a useful function, and I don't envy what they do. Putting review content together is actually, it's not a sensible way to try and make a living, because the amount of time that it takes to produce a proper review, like to engage with the game, to play it to a reasonable degree, like some will say to completion, and then to put a review together, like not even the biggest channels have a good ratio of like time to income for putting reviews together. So it's very like, it's not, I don't want to piss all over the concept of reviewing games, but reviewing Starfield, why does it matter? Is there anyone that's not planning to play Starfield? In fact, anybody in chat right now, is anybody not going to play Starfield? Timper, honestly, it will determine if you pay to get the September the 1st or not. So the reviews are going to determine whether you go for early access or not. Terrible FOMO. Risk it for the biscuit. I may be weak and pasty and dense. That's it. End of sentence. That's what I've got for you. A review from a person that you don't relate to is not helpful. And you're on the fence. Yeah. So you might not play Starfield. ACG does well thought out reviews. Yes, it does. ACG does good reviews and keeps himself honest. A lot of people talk up skill up as well and all the rest of it. I'd even go so far as like, I've seen a lot of people like pissing on Xbox Era, saying that their review doesn't mean anything, and I actually don't agree with that. Like, there will be people that relate to Xbox Era Their reviews are obviously skewed. They like Xbox a lot, but there's going to be other people that are in exactly the same boat and do appreciate their reviews. But why? But not for Starfield, right? Everyone is going to play Starfield. It's on Game Pass. Everyone knows what it is. It's one of the biggest games for like the decade. So we've got Islands on the Fence. Nobody else is saying that they're going to not play it. So I'm going to assume that everybody's playing Starfield. What would it take from the collective review scene to put you off of playing Starfield? See, even Pazza, welcome Pazza, it's going to give it a go. Doesn't care about space games, doesn't usually play that type of thing, but it's Starfield and it's on Game Pass, so you're going to find out for yourself. The reviews don't matter. Is there a level, like, if it gets a Metacritic score of like 12%, would it stop you from playing it? Pixel Slapper, thank you for the like. Anybody that hasn't hit that like button, please do. If you have already hit the like button, please don't hit it again, or at least aim for like an odd number altogether so that it stays lit up by the time you're done. Touch it as many times as you like, but just try and leave it lit up. It would have to be completely broken for you to not consider playing it. Even then, like, it would be a wait, wouldn't it? Just be like, oh, I guess I'll give it a couple of weeks or a month or 6 months or whatever it'll be. Baz, you're gutted that it's not multiplayer. I do have a feeling that ZeniMax are making an online multiplayer Starfield side project, and I hope that it maintains more of Starfield than Elder Scrolls Online maintained of Elder Scrolls, if that makes sense. Only thing that you got about not multiplayer, yep. Risk it, you gotta get ready for work, yes, enjoy it, have some Tim Tams, do some works. You think Starfield will turn the narrative of Xbox around? Oh, everyone's so fickle, the narrative's going to go up and down forever. But it is already on an uptick. Not the first time though, they had a really strong uptick at the launch of the console as well. Okay, so Replicant, you're going to go out and say it's going to be polished. It's going to have bugs though. I guess to have bugs. It's a Bethesda game. I'll find a way to break it. How many of their games do have multiplayer? So Bethesda's plenty. Depends if you want to split it up. If you go to like Bethesda Softworks and you look at their RPGs, which is probably more along the lines of what you're thinking, they usually do multiplayer versions of them, and they don't usually do all that well. So the Elder Scrolls series was single player up to 5. Fallout series was single player up to 4, including all the side ones. But then they decided to dabble in services and multiplayer. So you've got Fallout 76 and the Elder Scrolls Online, which are very multiplayer. And obviously ZeniMax have got like Quake and Doom and plenty of other projects as well that are multiplayer. The rumor was the ZeniMax Online game was Star Wars. I'd be surprised if it was Star Wars. I've always thought it was Starfield. The only thing that we know about the ZeniMax Online game is that it's been in the works, at least at a conceptual stage, for a lot of years now. They're building it on a proprietary new engine, so it's not on the Creation engine, it is on a ZeniMax Online engine, and it has a sci-fi setting. And if you just put those pieces together, it's like it's almost hard to imagine it's anything but Starfield, but who knows? Maybe it's Star Wars, maybe it's something entirely different, maybe it's a new IP. People playing Redfall to this day on Game Pass. You think nothing's going to stop people playing Starfield, no matter how buggy? Dennis, that's a name I haven't seen, and a surname I'm not going to attempt. I am Gungur. I don't know how to interpret all those accents, so I apologize for attempting it, but welcome. Peter, you know you're going to love this game. If anything, you're worried that you'll be completely addicted to it. I'm not worried about you, Peter. You'll be able to take a break and come and talk on the streams every now and again. It'll be healthy. Be like, Peter's here for his therapy session. And then you can go back to your Starfield addiction afterwards. Okay, that's Starfield. And it's funny because there are so many games around beyond, like, Baldur's Gate 3 was more of a surprise in terms of quite how well it's doing, but Baldur's Gate 3 is there, Starfield is there, and then you got these little games like Sea of Stars and Immortals of Avium and what else? Atlas Fallen has just come out, and it's like, oh, it's so unfortunate for these games to be releasing in the shadow of Starfield and Baldur's Gate. And I really hope, like, sincerely, for those development studios and publishers, that the industry is big enough to sustain their games as well. Right? They don't deserve diminished sales and success just because there are other good games. We just need more time to play them all. I want to play all of them. I want to play every single game. That's not true. I don't want to play the stealth ones. But all the other ones, I don't want to play the puzzle ones either, or the 3D platformers. But there's lots of games that I do want to play. Peter's going to be every Thursday. Have I seen the Immortals of Avium PC update today about the UE5 features and spec requirements? I haven't, Replicant. Please tell me. What is it? What's the deal? Immortals of Avium. I'm going to bring up a trailer while I'm here. Immortals of Avium comes out on the 22nd of August, I think. And I have the EA subscription. So I will have it, and I will have like 2 days to play it. And it will probably only be 2 days to play it, because Armored Core is also coming out, and Firewall Ultra is coming out. Avum? Apparently it's Avum. Immortals of Avum. No, Avium. Everyone's spelling it wrong, not just me. Let's go onto their channel. Immortals of Avium. Avium. Yeah. It's got a launch trailer that is premiering in 18 hours and has 4 people waiting to watch it. I don't know. This is some kind of gameplay trailer for Immortals of Avium. Magic FPS game. It is an aviary, yes. It's a bird enclosure. You trap enough birds, they power your magic. They do die, but it's worth it. Firewall, yes. Armored Core, no. This is unexpected, Baz. I thought everyone was looking forward to Armored Core. Because like, it's fashionable, you're supposed to. It's FromSoft. Your Starfield controller is telling the world. I'm not getting a Starfield controller. I'm not a controller person. I'm not a collectibles person. Motorfest, I forgot. So yeah, the Crew Motorfest and Forza as well. You can't die in a racing game, Boozy, but you can crash and still see, like, you can still see your life flash before your eyes as your car flips over. I don't want to ruin it for you. If you drive carefully, you'll be alright. Oh, I remember this gameplay trailer. It's not a very good trailer. You sent me the link on Twitter. I will check that in a second once the trailer's played through a little bit. Yes, it is an Unreal game, which means I should be able to play it in VR at some point, but it might be fairly demanding being Unreal Engine 5 and yada yada yada. Speaking of demanding, let me smoothly move on to the last topic that I have lined up for today. This new platform, it's not a new platform. Jeff Grubb, said that the story of Avium is trash, but the gameplay is supposed to be really fun. Good? Not good. Obviously, I'd rather have a good story. The voice acting and characters all looked a little bit cringy in the trailers, if I recall correctly. And the gameplay, time will tell. What happened to Skull and Bones? I got an email today about Skull and Bones from my friends at Ubisoft saying... Where's my emails? One moment. There is a beta coming, so Skull and Bones is still on its way. It is still a terrible game, most likely. What did Ubisoft say? Skull and Bones, save the date. Closed beta invitation on PC from August the 24th, August the 25th. So yeah, there's a beta for it coming next week. It hasn't been scrapped. It should be scrapped. Do you remember when it was first revealed and people were like, wow, here's a legitimate challenger to Sea of Thieves. This is a much better looking pirate game. That was before they knew that you control the boats with W, A, S, and D. Sail forwards, hold W. Reverse, hold S. It is shit. disaster of a game. It's more like New World than it is like Sea of Thieves. Dion, you signed up for the beta, but you haven't heard anything. I don't think I did sign up for the beta. I don't know why I've heard. It's because I give Ubisoft money, I guess. I'm not going to download the beta. If that game like gets to release and I hear that it's been entirely overhauled and is now like a different game. Isla's in the waiting room. If I hear that happens, then... Oh, hang about. Dennis, they can't scrap it. They're forced to release it by law. They took government funding for the game. Well, that's a story I didn't know. That does put them in a bind, doesn't it? Did they also take government funding for Beyond Good and Evil 2? That would be a pickle. That's another game that they haven't announced cancellation for. Funding from Singapore. That's nice of Singapore. I don't know why they'd fund Ubisoft to do that, but that's an interesting story. I've never heard that, Dennis, so thank you for shedding some light on why we're getting this travesty of a game. Alright, you've got a problem. That is okay. I will not get you yet. Baz, you were looking forwards to it. Vanished off the pre-order store. Pre-order store? Which pre-order store? Like off of Xbox? It's still coming from the looks of it. It's a beta next week. I'm not going to download it. You'll have to ask other people if it's like any good or not. What else? What else? What else? Xbox. I had another topic. I think when she's ready, Isla's going to give us her feedback. She went to see the Gran Turismo movie, and I think she wants to tell us if it was good, bad, or car crash. Pun intended and very bad. Sue me. Don't sue me, please. There was a Singapore game dev scheme which provided some funding. So, do they have like a development studio or development house in Singapore supporting the game? Is that why the funding came across? It's acting like it doesn't have permission to use your camera, but it hasn't asked for permission. I can't do IT support right now. I'm live doing show stuff. They're still hoping for Sea of Thieves fans to jump over to Skull and Bones. Like, if they're doing that, they don't want to have a cheap trial, because the Sea of Thieves fans will very quickly find out that Skull and Bones is not the kind of game. Meg 2 is good. I don't believe you. I've not seen that. Not seen the first one, but it doesn't look like it can possibly be good. I can do words. I do YouTube stuff. Words are my forte. I have so many of them. That's why I do this like 2-hour show. All of the words. Isla, shall I move on to the next topic while you try and wrestle your camera? I'm going to do that, because this is a big surprise for me. Wordle. I have been playing, very briefly, I actually set this up for the sake of my wife playing Baldur's Gate. Geforce Now. Holy shit, is it impressive. Like, my expectations were smashed. So Geforce Now is obviously Geforce's streaming service. So in a sense, a competitor to like Xbox's cloud streaming and PlayStation's cloud streaming, but far more capable. Last week we talked a tiny bit about how PlayStation were doing their 4K streaming onto the PlayStation 5. They're testing streaming of PlayStation 5 games at 4K to PlayStation 5 consoles for the time being. And I've not looked at it. I don't know how good or bad it is. But Geforce Now, I have now looked at, and it's impeccable. There are different tiers to that subscription service. You've got a free tier, which I've not tried. I don't think that will be worth a damn, and it has like a 1-hour play limit. And you've got a priority access tier, which is 1080p streaming, 1080p streaming, like standard dynamic range, and a 6-hour limit on your session. And that's what I set up for my wife. I got her the priority access so that she could play Baldur's Gate 3, because the PC, the laptop that she's going to use isn't powerful enough to run it natively, and I wasn't going to buy a new PC for it. So got that. I set it up for her and got Baldur's Gate running, and I looked at it and went, hang about. I'm not the most fussy on compression and stuff, but I do see it. And on this image that I'm seeing in front of me, albeit there's not much motion going on right now, but there is no color banding. I can see the dark areas clearly, it's all detailed, and there is no obvious like compression artifacts anywhere on this screen, and it's just a laptop screen at 1080p. It's crisp as fuck. I was like, this is a surprise. So I got Geforce Now Ultimate, which is the higher tier subscription, which supports 4K 120 frames per second and HDR, or you can play at lower resolutions at 240 frames per second over a stream. It essentially gives you access to a remote PC that's got a GeForce 4080 in it, RTX 4080. I can't believe how well it works. Like, this is legitimately a viable way to play games, far better than you can play them on a console. So let me just have a quick read on chat, and then I'll go back to exclaiming how good Geforce Now is. So if you like scary Cobweb, if you like scary, Cobweb is great. Like Corleen, if you have seen. What? Is this a real sentence, or are you just stringing words together? Are you talking films again? Meg 2 has become a new Sharknado. Okay. Isla is struggling with tech. Yeah, she's gone. She's disappeared from Discord. Might be back, might not. Isla, you can do words if that's easier. There are many options. Tom, you don't know if they have devs working out of Singapore. Could just be a small marketing or localization office, and boom, entices funding. Yes, businesses and funding can, do whatever it takes to find ways and then regret it later when you have to release Skull and Bones. That is a possible scenario. So Shady, you just blasted through Assassin's Creed Rogue. That was the mobile one, right? It was the first Creed game that you beat, and you didn't do everything along the way. Quite enjoyed it. It's hard saying no to your gaming OCD at times. I've not played any Assassin's Creed games in any depth whatsoever because they started life as stealth games, and I don't touch that. Coraline is very good. Is this the horror movie? Never heard of Coraline. Unlikely to ever watch it because my wife doesn't watch horror movies. Don't watch movies with anyone else really, so not likely to get watched. I play horror games, but horror movies, there's not an audience in my house for them. And I very rarely sit and watch anything by myself, because when I'm by myself I've got games to play and VR things to do. No, that sounds like I'm doing like VR porn, which is the only other VR things to do. I still mean games to play. I've got games to play. Some of them are VR games and some of them are pancake games. Stop trying to read things into it that I haven't said. Leave me alone, fuck's sake. I like VR games, Skyrim and Asgard's Wrath. Working in government funding has opened your eyes to the shit show that it can be if you know how to play. Yes, Tom, especially, you're doing that in the UK. Yeah, gross. Yes, we can all see that it's a shit show from the outside. A very beneficial shit show if you know the right people. You forgot how much you love the boat combat. So Assassin's Creed Rogue has the boat combat from Black Flag. Skull and Bones still has your attention. See, I never played Black Flag, so I don't actually know if Skull and Bones is... It was obviously supposed to be taking the strengths of Black Flag and putting them into a multiplayer game. Did you steer a boat in, like, by using the analog stick or WASD? Maybe it is like that. Cobweb episode 13. No, episode 13's a person. Cobweb. I understand. Keeping up. Following chat. Getting there. Everything's good. Dennis, you finished Hollow Knight on Geforce Now. Boss fights in that game doesn't allow for bad latency issues, and you had none. It worked great. And so Hollow Knight's interesting as well because so much of it is dark. I don't think there's any detail in the dark really, is there? So maybe it's quite simple to stream. Generally, so when I played Google Stadia had 4K 60 streaming and it had HDR and it was like mostly crisp. The thing that gave it away though was compression in dark areas and color banding on like skylines and things like that. So Google Stadia was really impressive, but it didn't match the standard of playing like locally. It didn't match playing with a console or a PC in your house. Geforce Now, to me, It did match it. It did match it. Replicant, you've heard good things about Geforce Now. I had also heard good things about it, but I was so surprised. And I've only dicked around with it a little bit. I've gone through a Far Cry 6 benchmark, the Cyberpunk benchmark. I had a look at. I went into a game of Far Cry 6 to see like the responsiveness of a mouse, because a first-person shooter is like as challenging as it gets in terms of feeling latency directly in your movements. And it was very playable, as well as looking pristine. It was very playable. Can Microsoft mirror GeForce Now tech-wise? Episode 13, they are not currently close to it. Like in the hardware space, Nvidia are fairly unique anyway. So Microsoft could obviously partner with Nvidia, and Microsoft's cloud solution could use the same hardware and the same technology that Nvidia are using if those parties wanted to do that. But if Microsoft are not going to go with Nvidia, if they're going to pursue AMD and they're going to stick Xbox consoles in the cloud, then they're going to remain behind, I would think. But, and this is, so main downsides to GeForce Now that I've come across are, one, Microsoft don't support it, Sony don't support it, so there's limitations in the library. I wanted to, because Red Dead Redemption 2 is not working on my PC, I was like, oh, if this is working so well, maybe I'll play Red Dead Redemption 2 on GeForce Now, but it's not available. GeForce Now, it streams the games that you own, so if you've got a game on Steam, or you've got a game on Ubisoft Store, or Epic Store, it lists EA in some places but not others, but if you've got these games on various stores, then you can play them on GeForce Now instead. So I've got Red Dead Redemption 2 on Steam, so I had a look to see if I could play that on GeForce Now, and you can't, because Take-Two are arseholes, so it's just not available. Similarly, you can't play any of Activision's games, because Activision are arseholes, and this is what underpins the deal, the deal everybody knows about, that Microsoft promised to the European Commission. They're going to put Activision's games and Microsoft's games onto services like GeForce Now if the deal goes through. Microsoft has started putting some games on GeForce Now, but it is only if you own the Steam version. There's no integration with Game Pass or Microsoft Store. So the vast library of games that I've got on Xbox don't show for me on GeForce Now. I'd have to come and buy them again on Steam. That's a weakness. Aim down scope. GeForce Now on a ROG Ally. I'm not doing handheld gaming. Each to their own. Some people do, but for me, no. I'm talking big screen. This was on a TV, 4K 60, HDR, pristine, and it's not like I've got an RTX 4090 in the PC that's connected to the same TV, so I'm not necessarily like the correct audience for GeForce Now, because I can play at the same standard at home, or a better standard at home even, without streaming. But I'm a tech nerd and I wanted to see what it was like. I got it for that purpose. I could genuinely play games on that very happily with like, it's got a key advantage in that when I'm playing a game on GeForce Now, my graphics card isn't pumping heat into my room. It's pumping heat into a data, like their graphics cards are pumping heat into a data center in London somewhere. That's just fine. That suits me. I don't have to download things. So if I wanted to play Baldur's Gate on it, I don't have a 120 gig download. I just fire it up on GeForce Now and it works. Honestly, I'm so impressed with it. I'm going to do, I'll show you, because I happen to have some very nice like capture equipment, and YouTube's upload quality is very good. So what I will do is I will capture some things from GeForce Now, played at this quality, then I'll put them on YouTube. So you've got double the compression. You're going through like the streaming service itself, GeForce Now, and you're being recompressed for YouTube. And I'll put it on there, and you will look at it and go, holy shit, this looks really good. And then you'll understand where I'm coming from. That's the best approach here, so that I can share this with you. You will look at it and go, wow. I'll do a comparison. I'll find a game that's on the console as well and be like, look, this is it on the Xbox. This is it on GeForce Now. And you'll go, wow. Cloud streaming is already a very viable way to play games, actually. So, that's been a thing that I've been doing. So my question for you, What would it take to get you to play a game on a cloud service? We talked about it briefly last week with PlayStation Now, but I got a particular hypothetical. For me, like I said, the Geforce Now service is a 4080, and I've got a 4090 at home. There's no possible way for Geforce Now to surpass what I'm doing at home, because that's just not what the service is. It's playing a PC game on a PC that's just not in your house. But hypothetically, if there was like a Geforce 4095 Ti card that's like 20-30% faster than a 4090, and it's not a real card, it's only available on the cloud service. So if you had that choice where you're like, here's a card that is better than mine, but it's not in my house, it's on a cloud service, would you then be tempted to play it, or would the fact that it's cloud and far away still make it less appealing than local native hardware for you? Because as of today, I would be all over the cloud service for certain games. I'd still I wouldn't want to, even though it feels like it's working very well, I wouldn't want to chance it for online multiplayer competitive stuff. I wouldn't play Street Fighter 6 like that, or like Halo Infinite or something. That one will probably be fine, actually. But I would play Cyberpunk or Baldur's Gate like that. You'd have to try it and then decide. Of course, that would be like the sensible answer. Yes, Peter. But you would be tempted to try it. Like, you're not closed off to the idea and concept of playing a cloud game. Aim down scope, you don't own a PC, so using a ROG to a TV with Geforce Now might be an option. Yeah, as far as I know, that's an option. Very, very good option that I definitely recommend you try. Genuinely, like, it's so good. Any latency is a no-go for you. You're not happy unless it's 4K either. Well, it's very 4K. More 4K than your consoles are likely to give you. Because a 4080 is a very powerful card. And latency, like I say, Far Cry was very playable with it. The stats on it, so I just live in a village. I've not got a wonderful connection. I've got a typical UK DSL. Get like 70 meg down and 18 off, something like that. I'm not that close to London, but I had 8 milliseconds of ping. So it has to be adding, whatever technology they're using, it's still somewhere along the line is going to be adding 8 seconds into the pipeline. 8 milliseconds into the pipeline, which is, if you're playing at 60 frames per second, that's half a frame. It's being added. Half a frame of latency being added. And in terms of displaying it back to you, you could double that, I guess. So 1 frame of latency being added. That's like 1 frame of latency. You'd be fairly superhuman esports level to actually be aware of 1 frame of latency in your input. And there will be some people that are like, oh, it feels slightly sluggish, it's not quite right. That's not me, it felt good to me. Dennis, you bought an Nvidia Shield. See, Nvidia Shield I was looking at when I was trying to figure out the best way to get this game available for my wife, but Shield's quite an expensive way to access GeForce Now. If you're getting a Shield for other reasons, then yeah, I gave you a year of GeForce Now for free, so you played most of your Steam library on the tiny TV box. It's so good. I've tried various streaming services. I was always impressed by Stadia, more so than the others, but GeForce Now is leaps and bounds ahead of Stadia. And I was picky, I was looking. I've not played much. Like I say, I was only experimenting with it this afternoon, but I know the flaws of streaming technology. I saw them on Stadia, and I was like, right, I'm gonna find scenes that are gonna stress a cloud streaming service. I'm gonna look at the dark spaces. I'm gonna look at motion and all of this stuff. I'm properly impressed by it. And I'm not a shill, by the way. I probably sound like it because this is a service that you can pay for. But no, this is genuine. And I will say it's also, obviously I play in virtual reality, so it's not for me because you can't play VR through it. I'll need the next generation of graphics cards in my house as well. If I didn't play virtual reality, and if the GeForce Now library was complete, as in the more sinister publishers, yeah, Activisions and Take-Twos and that, were on board with Geforce Now, I would consider it being my main way to play games next time a run of graphics cards comes out. How much? So the ultimate tier, Peter, the one that gives you the 4080 is £17 a month. The priority tier that gives you the 1080p streaming is £9 a month. I might be slightly off on those numbers, but I think it was that. Either you're not tech incompetent, there's something really fucky going on with your Discord and camera communication. What? Sorry, I missed what you said. So, what do you want to do, Isla? I see you're in the waiting room. Are you wanting to do your thing, or is it just not going to work today? Best you can offer is screen share your system camera. You can use your screen share instead of your camera. I don't want your... Why would I want your screen share? What's on your screen? Is there something on your screen that you want to share? Because if not, then you can just be a voice on Discord. Oh, you're on your camera. I don't know how that's going to work in practice. You can try it. So Isla, I'm going to put you in the room and you can try and figure it out. It'll be safe. Put yourself on it. Do whatever sharing you need to. You won't be heard on stream just yet while you're figuring it out. You're not live yet. So this is the one more thing before... Oh no, no, Isla, that's not going to work. And she's been disconnected from it. Isla, if you are watching this on the chat, the layout doesn't work. I can't without reconfiguring my overlays, which is like more difficult than it seems because the way I've got OBS set up, I can't capture that third window neatly. So you might need to save your review for next week or do a voice-only review if your camera won't work. I've also lost chat as a result of that. Don't worry and move on. Like, your voice is very welcome. I'm quite curious about the Gran Turismo movie. You are not causing any trouble and no one is gonna be mad at you for technical difficulties. So if you want to talk, then do come and talk. If you'd rather wait until you can do it smoothly, then you are still welcome to review the Gran Turismo movie next week. If no one can see your hats, then there's no point. Unfortunately, I don't know what to do about that. So Isla has a Gran Turismo hat. It is a full-sized McLaren GT1 on her head. Is that a real car? I don't know cars. I made that one up. I think a lot of people are quite curious about the Gran Turismo movie. So the Gran Turismo movie shouldn't be any good because it's a Gran Turismo movie. It has no right to be any good. Critics didn't particularly like it. It got its like Rotten Tomato score of like 60% or whatever else. It came out of the cinema and the user scores that I've seen kind of suggested it's actually good. Can I post a picture of you while you voice in? Yes. If you send me a picture on Twitter, I can have your picture up while you voice in. See, episode 13, have you seen it? To say that it's blocked. It doesn't appeal to me whatsoever. It's a story based on real life. Like real life. Real life sucks. I don't want just a story about real life. And it's a story about someone who's presumably very successful as a result of playing computer games. People that are successful suck. I don't want to watch somebody be successful. Fuck that guy. Fuck you. Be successful, prick. So it's not for me. I'm not interested in the Gran Turismo movie. But for some reason people like it. Isla's a real person, and I will take the opinion of a real person who can express their own thoughts in their own words over any reviewer. She's in the waiting room, channeling your inner Gaz, disliking it because it's like Sony related. Let me 1 second, Isla. You're not live yet because I'm still... Oh no! What happened? I joined Discord and then wasn't in Discord anymore. Things are going wrong over there. Let me find the picture anyway. I put my keyboard down. I wonder. So on Geforce Now, Microsoft have obviously started putting some games onto Geforce Now as part of their arrangement. And I think some of those games are Bethesda games, so you can play like Doom Eternal on it now. I wonder how long it will take to play Starfield on Geforce Now. Because it's inevitably going to be a better experience than playing it on console. So I imagine you won't be able to do it day one, right? Isla, I have your picture ready. I'm going to bring you back in again. I don't know what's going on and why you're getting kicked off. Are you there? Waiting room. Not waiting room. Technical difficulties, but bear with us for a moment. And you might get a review of the Gran Turismo movie. I can hear you. Would you like to go on stream now? Oh, do you know what? So Isla's arrived on Discord. I don't know if I can do the picture and the voice at the same time. So, no, I can't. I'm going to have to show your picture separately. Is that an acceptable term? So, they can't hear you yet. Isla's in the waiting room. That's her in the waiting room right now. And hopefully, if it still works... Oh, no, wrong button. Hopefully, you'll be able to hear her if she talks now. I also can't hear her. I don't think she's talking now.
Yeah, I'm talking.
Nobody has been on Discord for a long time. I'm pretty sure that's going through. Nice people in the audience. Can you hear Isla? I can hear you, yes.
You made it sound like you couldn't.
Because you didn't say anything for frickin' ages. You made it deliberately
awkward.
Yes, I did. You thought you were hilarious.
I said hello.
You watched this.
I did. I said it like
afterwards.
5 times.
No, well, I couldn't hear anything.
No.
You watched the stream back afterwards and you'll be like, oh yeah, I was silent and awkward. How difficult. I feel so sorry for the poor host.
Boo. The stream does not know
better than me. People are saying that they can hear you.
Good.
People are saying hello. Please give us your review of Gran Turismo.
Oh, I don't know if I can even remember it anymore. I'm so frustrated with everything. No, it was a good movie. It was actually really cute. So in terms of like general storytelling, it had some things that didn't go anywhere. There was like a romantic subplot that just didn't really need to be there. It was just sort of window dressing. The car stuff, like the actual like physical car stunts and the special effects were really cool. Like they definitely had some stuff that sort of merged the ideas of like the physical driving world and the video game elements. The cringe was actually minimal. There was some stuff that was like, all right, gamers, let's go gamers, and I died every time. Yeah, there were teenage actors, which is quite often risky, but they were pretty good. The main guy was pretty good. It had I don't know why it had Orlando Bloom, and maybe this is just me, but I swear he has morphed into Antonio Banderas over time, and I just could not unsee that. And maybe I'm the only one who can see it, but I can't unsee it now, and it's freaking me out. They had the guy from Stranger Things, I can't remember his name, but they were both good. Well, Orlando Bloom was a little bit cringe. Actually, I don't even know why he was in it. I think you probably could have got rid of him. I don't know why he was there. He was cringe. His catchphrase was holy shit, and it was really awkward every time he said it. But yeah, the car stuff in the movie was really good, and the video game stuff in the movie was fairly well incorporated, and there was like quite a lot of like Sony sponsorship, like product placement kind of stuff.
So you're saying that?
Oh, and it was based on a true story. No, it was good, and I'm being really careful not to spoil any of the like important plot stuff. Oh, definitely don't bother to see it in Screen X. I don't know like how many Screen X cinemas there are, but I picked Screen X because I thought, you know, it's that shape like you're inside a race car. I thought that there would be lots of shots from inside the car, but there actually really weren't. So don't bother trying to get like that immersive thing. Get 4DX if you're going to get anything. I bet if I'd been to see it in 4DX, I probably would have had a heart attack, because I was halfway having a heart attack just sitting there in it like an empty cinema. It was literally me, my boyfriend, and then like 2 other parties in the whole room, so it was really empty. But I did go and see it on like, what was that, like a Sunday morning. Yeah, I don't know. I think it was pretty good. I think it could have been a lot worse. Like, for a video game movie, it was up there. Not as good as Detective Pikachu, obviously.
This is like really difficult for me because you're sounding really enthusiastic and saying that you enjoyed it, but also making it sound freaking awful in the same sentences, and it's like.
That's just because we have different taste, and you hate everything that I love.
No, I think maybe. I think most people are kind of getting the same impression though, that it sounds awful, despite you putting such a positive spin on it. But it's not.
I enjoyed
you're
it, and
insisting that it is good.
It was based on a true story, and at the end they showed which bits were like exactly the same as the real series of events, and I thought that was quite nice. Like, that kind of had like a little bit of an extra emotional payoff at the end. Look, it's not going to be for everyone, but I think there are a lot worse video game movies. I enjoyed it. I would watch it again right now, honestly.
You like it more than Lord of the Rings?
I haven't seen Lord of the Rings. Oh god, now you've got me
You
in
like it
trouble.
more than Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yeah.
I don't know where these names are coming from. They're names people are talking about.
They're things that Orlando Bloom's been in.
You like it more than Short Circuit 1 and 2?
I haven't seen those.
No. Okay, fair enough. Okay, you may go. So that's Gran Turismo. Okay. Thanks, Isla, for coming in. For those that haven't seen before, Isla says bye-bye. I'm sure you heard that. For those that haven't seen, though, that's how Discord works. If you want to come in and say some things whenever, this week or another week, there's occasional technical difficulties, but you can come on and talk. That was Isla giving us a curious review of the Gran Turismo movie, which is gaming related, so it counts. Let's have, to wrap it up now, if there are any of the topics that I've been talking about that you have more to say, then still carry on talking, preferably in a $1,304 super chat to make sure that I see it, but normal chat's good too. Let's do the questions and answers from the end. What is the fuck? Oh, look, you don't really do movies. That's okay. Dennis, did they perchance enter a cheat code to make the cars drive faster? That's what I do in real life. Why not? Pixels. Let's have, if you enjoyed hearing from Isla, then do watch some of the Baldur's Gate 3 streams as well, because she'll be there for a lot longer. A lot longer. We're going to play for 18 hours straight. We're going to go right up from 9 o'clock tomorrow to go live the next day. What's with this PlayStation 5 Slim? Not a Slim, but so that's a topic I didn't touch on at all. The latest edition of the PlayStation 5 was leaked. Might have been the prior week. I don't know. And that's it. I don't know. It's got a detachable disk drive. It's basically everything that was leaked prior is true. You can slip the disk off. Don't know which edition they're going to try and sell most of, with or without the disk drive. You'd assume without, but if you want a disk drive, you just slot it off and put it back on. It's possibly a little bit smaller than the PlayStation 5 that exists, but releasing it as a slim model is not the intention, and I don't think it will be called a PlayStation 5 Slim. It'll just be called, who knows what it'll be called. It's an all digital redesign. Yes, it makes construction easier because the digital version and the disc version are essentially exactly the same console with no differences in the manufacturing process whatsoever. They can pivot their supply lines a lot easier. They're a lot more maneuverable in that sense. It's not super interesting. Don't think it's... PlayStation 5 has had like a reputation around it for being hot and less reliable than Series X, but that's not particularly played out. So I'm certainly not going to replace my PlayStation 5 with a slightly smaller PlayStation 5. And I don't think many people would. Some people have too much money and just want the latest of everything. I think the new console is ugly, and I think the old console is ugly. So that's that. Episode 13, you sound like Stephen Merchant, but you'll take it. Well, then I insist that you do the Discord call at some point in the future, because everyone wants to hear if that's true. You need to play for 9 hours, only 5 minutes left. Oh yeah, the Ascent. I might actually finish that in a minute. Let's do the questions and the answers, wrap this show up, and There is no and. That was the whole thing. I've still got... I forgot to close it. This is still my 4K TV screen that I play games on. Is just this at the moment. Glaring at me, making me like feel gradually ever more uncomfortable. Stop staring into my soul. We'll be getting rid of that. Questions. You're so spaced out now, you're gonna have to rewatch this whole thing. I recommend it. Everybody... No, don't everybody rewatch it. That'll be a lot. Keep you on there for the questions. No, it's making me uncomfortable. PlayStation 5 is a giant Airglade plugin. It's an ugly console. I don't typically like white consoles. White consoles are for bedrooms, and black consoles that disappear into the background are for grown-up rooms. Did anyone comment on your hat? No, nobody commented on your hat as far as I saw. I could be wrong, because I lost chat for a moment while I was bringing Discord up. So you'll have to go back and check on that. Brian Scully asks, any thoughts on Zack Snyder debuting the trailer for his new movie at Gamescom? Considering that he's previously stated that he's also working on a tie-in RPG game for it. I have not heard any of this. This is entirely new news to me. Is this confirmed? Is this a thing that has been announced, that he's going to be revealing this trailer at Gamescom? Or is this speculation that people are saying he might because there's a tie-in RPG? Why is he making a tie-in RPG game? Does Zack Snyder like games? One of them was a gift for attending Summer Sonic in London a few years ago. Ryan, I don't have any thoughts. I'm going to throw that question open for everybody else. Does anybody have any thoughts about what Zack Snyder is doing at Gamescom or around games in general? Best to ask me something. Yes, you need to ask me something. You don't need to. Like, wrapping up the show is good. My voice is beginning to go. I've got games to play. You believe that Alan Wake 2 is delayed. So Alan Wake 2 has been put back a week or two to the end of October. Reason that they gave was just release scheduling. So to give a little space to other games that are coming out. I think Assassin's Creed Mirage got brought forwards a week. Spider-Man's obviously in October. And Alan Wake 2, they're giving themselves a tiny amount more time. So obviously they can like polish it a bit or whatever else. But their stated reason is more market driven. They just don't want to release too close to other big games that are coming out, which makes sense, especially if other publishers are making late changes to their scheduling. Then it could be genuinely just a reaction to what's happening around them. If you got to go on video, you could have showed the 360 view. It has spikes on the back. There will be future opportunities. Remedy has that flexibility as it's digital only. Yes, they do, Replicant. And they said one of the reasons that they're not doing a physical edition was they want to be able to work right up to the last minute and have flexibility around it. So they've got it. They can prove it. He's reworking his rejected Star Wars movie pitch that he's now doing with Netflix. Some science fantasy movie. That'll be weird to watch. Like, with that knowledge that it was originally pitched as part of the Star Wars universe and now he's just rejigged it a bit. See what comes across and what's blatantly stealing and all the rest of it. But no, I've got no idea if he's got presence at Gamescom or what he's going to show. This is actually like my first time hearing any of this, so quite interesting. I also, I'm not very good with people, so I know he had, like, very famously his DC movie that he did another edition of, but besides that I don't really know what he's responsible for, if he's a director that I like and if I care about his game or not. Time will tell. Brian Scully, oh no, that's the question that we just had. Yeah. Let's go for the next question. Anyone remember that series on Sci-Fi that had the MMO game? Yeah, it began with like a D. It was a third-person shooting game that came out with it. It was... oh, what was that game called? Defiance? Oh, there you go. Yeah, and it was a shame that it wasn't very good. Neither the series nor the game was particularly good. They tried to tie it in, so this was literally, it wasn't like other games where you get a TV series and you get a game that's based on it. They ran in parallel and you were supposed to be like part of the TV series. So the events that were unfolding in the game were also unfolding in the TV series at the same time. So you were supposed to play along with the series, which was like a neat concept, but it wasn't that well executed on either front. Still, I like neat concepts. You really enjoyed the game. I didn't. That's all I can remember. I can't remember in detail like what was good or what was bad about it. I think what put me off was the TV series more so than the game. Oh, it was one of those that had a weird... they did what's the series that has frack all the time instead of swearing? Defiance had its own version anyway, where it substituted swear words in a really awkward way. And it had people with makeups and I don't know, it just didn't quite work for me. Battlestar Galactica, that had the frack. Defiance had its own version of substitute swear words. Anyway, let's go for hang about. Oh, this has got to be a Tony question. Nice pizza. I only saw the first few words. It says, what do you call a girl? I'm like, oh no, here comes Tony. But no, this is pizza. What do you call a girl standing between two goalposts? Is this a FIFA Women's World Cup joke? Or is this a joke that's gonna just get you horrifically banned by our mod? I don't know, Peter. What do you call a girl standing between two goalposts? I don't think it's Battlestar. Hang about, the answer's above. A keeper. Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, Peter. Oh, a net. That's... Okay. Like, they're both very much in the same vein. One being an actual name. Two good answers though. Well done both. That's not even offended anybody. They're both wholesome and good. Let's move on before anybody throws anything else out there. Drock? What's Drock? I probably shouldn't say it just in case. I'm gonna call loads of people Drock. Let's go for the next one. The FIFA Women's World Cup is running at the moment, isn't it? I haven't seen much of it. Or any of it, but... Keeper was a very good answer, yes. You used to go and goal at football training and ball hit you in the face really hard and gave you a nosebleed. That would teach you. Tony, this is a Tony question. He's not here, sadly. Asa, as a fellow virgin, will our cherries be popped by Starfield and will it hurt? He's not here, so let's just gloss over that. Or gloss over the Tony question. Pretend it's not there. Here's another Tony question. Let's see. Armored Core 6 feels like it's never going to release. Oh, but it will. Oh, but it will. Well, pop any cherry that you're talking about before you even get into Starfield. The final's on Sunday. Who has made it to the final? High on Life? Alan Artist, that's a game. And also hopefully an expression of how you're feeling right now. Oh, so England did make it. I heard that they were in the semis. I got that far with following it. All the way through to the final, wasn't that exciting? Right, next question, please. Why is my chair so uncomfortable? One day I'm going to need to replace this. Oh, my background. Yeah, my background is from High on Life. I completely forgot. Yes, Alan Artis. It is a High on Life, slightly modified background. I'm a goldfish because goldfish can't look behind them. High on Life is behind me. So yes, I am a goldfish. England being overhyped to the hill will probably win it. Good. I don't overly care, but good. If I were playing, then I would care more. Next question, please. This goldfish is ready. Pretty sure I did answer this one. You need to learn Polish. See, you're the goldfish. You've learned Polish so many times already. You forget it almost every day. Did I? Yes, this isn't much of a question. I answered it enough. Yeah. Right, here we go. Lost Boomer has also long gone. Is the new RDNA going to get Starfield to 60 frames per second? I can't deal with the RDNA talk. The currently available RDNA tech on PC will surely be able to. It's an AMD sponsored title. Yeah, sure it will. Sure it will. Will it consistently run at 60? No, because I'm going to explode all the sandwiches and tank it down to 2 frames per second. Oh, Chronic, you asked that earlier, didn't you? How hard is it going to be to get the Quest 3? I don't think it'll be that hard because it's 500 monies, which is out of impulse buying range. So what I think is going to happen with the Quest 3 launch is, I didn't pay much attention to the Quest 2 launch, so I don't know if that was hard to acquire when it came out, but that came out at a much cheaper price, at a much more cash-rich point in the history of humanity. And it did really well. Quest 3 will not immediately do as well because it's more expensive and people have less money. What it will do though is get a really positive reception when people try it. And realize like how big a jump it is over the Quest 2. So then it will get a bit harder to get for a little bit. It's still expensive and people haven't got money. I don't know what manufacturing is like how many they're intending to put out. So difficult to give a definite answer, but I'd be surprised if it's really difficult to get. Replicant rumor, FSR 3 is launching with it. Wait a minute. Oh, what, with the next RDNA? Assuming that FSR 3 is supposed to be AMD's equivalent of DLSS 3, like frame generation and all the rest of it. Frame generation is complicated, and AMD will probably fuck it up. And I say that it's complicated, like NVIDIA's frame generation is very nice if you've got variable refresh rate, if you've got an adaptive sync monitor or G-Sync monitor or anything like that. Getting it to work with a fixed refresh rate is actually quite complicated. And in the console space, which is probably what most people are interested in, I'd be surprised if AMD get it right on the first shot. Especially as there's a lot of scope for those generated frames to actually be a bit shit. Especially, I expect NVIDIA obviously put lots of emphasis on using AI to generate these things, and typically AMD don't go that route. They go for spatial algorithms and things. So will there be a new blurry mess to play with? Maybe. Next question. And I say that really disparaging. I like AMD. I've always liked AMD more so than NVIDIA as a company because NVIDIA are assholes with their prices. But NVIDIA's tech now, they just stand alone. Like AMD aren't close to them. And I say this about Geforce Now and about the graphics cards themselves and whatever else they're doing in AI and all the rest of it. Only Intel can stop them, I think, much as I would like AMD to step up to the plate. Oh, Tony, that's not a question. So Tony left a little message that says, Apple Vision will destroy the VR landscape. Tony is very silly. Apple Vision is going to be a rich person's brag and not much more. Boozy the Clown, how buggy is Starfield going to be? It's going to launch and everyone's going to go, oh, this is surprisingly not that buggy. And then within a month, there'll be hilarious videos of things going wrong all over the internet. Because it's going to be full of masses of bugs. It's going to feel polished relative to other Bethesda games. But as people start scratching the surface and getting into it, there will be things flying in unusual directions, quests that aren't completable, And who knows what else is going to go on. It's going to be fun though. Like, I don't hold bugs against it particularly. If ambition is high and scope is high and they're just trying to do things that are really difficult to execute, then you can forgive things going a little bit wrong. Part of the fun, especially when you start introducing mods, all kinds of things are going to break. Especially when you're playing the entire game in virtual reality, all kinds of things are going to break. It's going to be like, no, we never intended for you to put your hands there, but I'm going to put my hands there, and things are going to break. Next question, please. Within a week, yeah, things will start to surface within a week, but like, that's different because you're going to get genuine ones where people are sharing things because they're funny. Within the first week, you're going to get stuff that's overshared by people that are more malicious. Certain groups that want to paint things as bigger issues than they are. Any bugs that are found in the first week will be blown out of proportion. I will call you Shirley as often as I want. There's a rude Tony question that you can't ask. Okay. Peter wanted to ask, after the Saturday show ends, how long do me and the guests stay chatting? Does it usually end up that the US folks are up for more and the UK guys are ready for bed? So normally, Peter, at the end of the show, Gaz runs off before the intro is finished playing. Everybody leaves very sharply. There are exceptions. Every now and again, you get a little bit more like talk out of people. But particularly if it's a return guest, very little talk afterwards. Every now and again, and particularly if Rand or Colt or someone is on, then they'll talk for a little while. If you get a guest like Gene Park stayed for a little bit to have a chat and was there for a bit before to have a chat. Unfortunately, Gaz spends most of his talking time before the show starts. He arrives late and then starts small talk. Tony asked if I prefer melons or peaches. I'm allergic to fruit. Thank you for the question, Tony. Next question. That was a long silence. YouTubing's difficult. It's 25 to 12. I started at 9. I can have a momentary pause. Any Gamescom predictions or hopes to see? So Replicant, this one was asked last week, and my answer last week was that there's not going to be anything at Gamescom. This week I feel stronger about that because I think Jeff Keighley came out and said opening night live is more about updates on things that we know about rather than new announcements. So I'm expecting very little from Gamescom. I would like to see all kinds of virtual reality things because those are typically smaller projects, which means they could show at Gamescom and still not really count as being things. So, and I want to see Hades 2 because that's been away for a little while. I don't want to see it. I want to know when it's coming out so that I can play it. Dennis, you can't wait for people to mod the crap out of Starfield. Me too, especially the VR community. I'm desperate for that. You're hoping for some Kojima update? Yeah. I mean, I don't think we're going to hear about much Kojima stuff beyond Death Stranding 2. I think that's his next project. I don't think we'll be hearing much Overdose stuff. Might hear a little bit more about season 2 of his podcast if you're lucky. But yeah, there could be a Death Stranding 2 update. Sonic Hat does kind of squish your brain. Uh-oh. You thought it had broken. Did I buffer? Rather than YouTube buffering, I had a mental buffer. That could happen. That's believable. So, wait a minute. Next question, episode 13. Are there so good guests lined up for Go Live? Any sneak peeks? Episode 13, I've actually got no idea who's coming on to Go Live. I couldn't tell you a single guest that's lined up at the moment. Sometimes I know who's on Saturday by this point in time. This week I don't. Next week I don't. I know nothing. Who would you like to see on Go Live? That's a good question. Who would you like to see? It can be returning guests or new ones. Who should we be reaching out to? You can't choose yourself. You can choose yourself, but I don't think you actually mean that whatsoever. Get Jim on. We can reach out to Jim Ryan, but he's a self-proclaimed introvert. I don't think he's likely to. Or did you mean a different Jim? You would like to see Destin. Oh, we could have had a conversation around there today, couldn't we? Destin's been upsetting people. Dreamcast guy, I don't think you mean that. Chronic, when you play Unreal games on VR, do you have to make each one work independently, or has that work been done for you? It's easy to click and play after the initial setup. So that mod set hasn't come out yet, Chronic. There's a fella called Preydog who is doing glorious work on the Unreal Engine to get it working. There are certain things that are universal, so you just download his mod, like stick it wherever it goes in the folder structure, and you play it in VR with various things working, but for proper VR controls and like bespoke interactions, it will rely on other modders to touch the project to go in and make it good. So it's not entirely universal. It's a universal mod in that you can drop it in and play, and a lot of Unreal Engine games will work. They'll put you in there, they'll give you like 6 degrees of freedom movement, and they'll just let you be in the world. But there will be a lot of modders putting the good interactions in to make it better. Alex S, welcome. What are my thoughts on Alan Wake 2 being delayed? So that was very briefly mentioned about 20 minutes ago. Remedy have said that it's because of competition. They don't want a crowded schedule. It is very crowded, so it makes a lot of sense. They've also obviously gone backwards rather than forwards in time, so it gives them that little bit more time to polish things up. Yeah, it's all good. Now, Peter, to be fair, you would have wanted to see Destin before his notoriety. So the story with Destin is Baldur's Gate 3 came out. I will be honest, I don't know what the fuck Destin was doing with the article that he followed up with. He did a video, which I haven't watched, but a video that basically said developers have been like losing their minds, saying things that they shouldn't, saying that it's not fair that Baldur's Gate is good and they shouldn't be compared to it and all the rest of it. I had seen nothing of the sort. It seemed to be wildly taken out of context and sensationalized again. And he got a lot of pushback from the development community. He said this was like way unfair as a video and he doesn't understand what he's talking about. And he should have done this, that and the other differently. Up to that point, I was like, oh, this is part of the course. Like, you make a video for engagement, and he's done that. And he said things that a lot of people are potentially thinking. I didn't particularly agree with what he said. But in the aftermath, I've not been super impressed by the way that he's handled it since. Because this is maybe being unfair, but he's all over the place, like declaring that he wants to listen and learn and stuff, but it all comes across very much as like he doesn't actually, he wants to paint himself as the good guy in the situation. And like I say, I haven't watched the video, but I think it plays on sentiments that are easy to play on without necessarily being fair to developers. Like, I haven't seen any developers that are sad about Baldur's Gate 3. I haven't seen any developers complain that Baldur's Gate 3 has made their job harder. I have not seen any of the negativity that he's talking about. I don't think it's real. And he's presented it in such a way that like it reinforces other things that people do believe. There are problems with the AAA industry, and it's fun to point fingers and all the rest of it. And that's what's happened, and he's caused an awful lot of finger pointing. The video's good, it's not a bad thing. I don't know, like, going by the pushback that he's got, I'm not sure that it was okay. He's entitled to his opinion, and hopefully it was just an opinion. Was it a Destin video or an IGN video? This is my completely uninformed take on it, Peter, is that it sounds like he may have made a mistake, may have touched on some truths, may have made some connections that weren't quite there to make. But I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm probably like not being fair to draw conclusions without even watching the video myself. So, complaining about expectations following Baldur's Gate 3. So you watched a video on YouTube which showed the developer tweets. Were they though, Replicant? Were they people? So I saw one. I saw a 10 tweet thread from one developer who was saying Baldur's Gate 3. By the way, they had like quite exceptional development circumstances. So it's not likely that every game from now on is going to be better than Baldur's Gate 3. Which, like, fair observation, I suppose. I saw somebody else, after Destiny's video, I saw a couple of things. So there was a guy from Evolve PR who I think was just trying to ride the wave rather than make a legitimate point. Destin isn't wrong, but he's also not very genuine. He knows that Larian had a very unique development scenario where lots of very positive things came together and that other devs can only dream of. This is what I'm kind of getting at, Dennis. I think there's a lot of truth behind what he's saying, but there's a lot of, like, there's a disingenuous link in there somewhere. And I really, like, every developer that I've seen has just been like, yeah, Baldur's Gate's really good. That's cool. We're happy about that. So, I don't know. I'm going to love Baldur's Gate 3 tomorrow. I hope so, Chronic. I am looking forward to it. In terms of guests, though, like, I'm sure Gaz has tried to get Destin on before, and we'll probably try again, so he might come on at some point. Maybe we can ask him about this and actually find out what's going on. Because I do not know the answer, and I have not watched the video. Let's do... I froze again. Brain lag. Next question. I'm going to love Wayfinder. I'm not sure I am going to love Wayfinder, Alex. Wayfinder seems to be structured around seasons and battle passes. And the art style is like too World of Warcraft. I think it looks kind of nice in some of the trailers. I'm not completely ruling it out as a game that I'd love to play. There's a beta for that this weekend, right? I think. Let's do the early access launch trailer. There's a trailer that released 5 hours ago, which is here. Join the early access, become a Wayfinder. Conceptually, like, dungeony, raid focused, MMO light with more dynamic combat than World of Warcraft. Might be a lot of fun, but if you throw battle passes and seasons in there, I'm less inclined to try it. And I get that that style of game suits service. It suits like a long-term plan for content. But I don't know. You love the StarCraft OST. It's technically not the StarCraft OST, Painful Discourse, but you're not wrong in the link. You haven't heard of this game. So it's PlayStation 5 and PC only at the moment, as far as I know. And stylistically, it rips on Blizzard. I'm pretty sure, like, combat is more dynamic, but I don't think you make a character. It's not a full-on MMO where you make your own character. I think you select the class that you want to play as for that game session, like which hero you want to be, essentially. I don't really know how the progression works in it, but I don't trust it right now. It's not a... Someone corrected me before when I said I thought it was an MMO without the MMO. I thought it was just the dungeon and raid structure. Somebody told me that there is like a world to it. There is a free space to roam and explore. rather than just combat scenarios. But still, I don't think you make a character. Yeah, it looks like a Blizzardy Battleborn. It does indeed. Battleborn, besides being too visually noisy, was quite neat. I don't know. I like an MMO RPG with more dynamic combat. Could win my heart one day, but I'm not convinced that Wayfinder is the one just yet. This was the mix of 90% of Terran track music. So because we've had this before, Painful Discourse, and because other people might want to know as well, the OST for the show today is very much taken from, yes, StarCraft, also Warcraft, also... God, my brain has just shut down. Blizzard games, StarCraft, Warcraft, Overwatch, that's the one I'm thinking of. It is the OST from Heroes of the Storm, which is a Blizzard IP mesh. It's a MOBA, isometric MOBA, League of Legends style, Defense of the Ancient style. But the OST is yeah, all of Blizzard's universes, so themed around many Blizzard games, which makes it one of those more tricky OSTs. So you will have heard StarCraft, yes. When can we play Wayfinder? I don't know, Alex. I'm probably not going to touch the early access. We'll see if it turns out good when it comes out, and then we can play it. But like I say, that one, it's not convinced me yet, Wayfinder. You hope MS will reboot Heroes of the Storm. I liked Heroes of the Storm. Didn't play a whole lot, but I did like it. Before I go, your cartoon question. What cartoon question? Episode 13? I missed it. Oh, hang about. You've asked it in the Q&A box. What's my favourite 80s, 90s cartoon? Does Futurama count? Because it's that. That probably came out in the 90s, right? Or was it later? One moment. I can't get to the screen. It came out in 1999. It counts. Yay. Barely. I'll take it. You've been trying to remember cartoons from those years. I can't remember my childhood right now. It's like long gone. Going came out in 2000. Yeah, based on the... Yeah, that would make sense, wouldn't it? Will I play Texas Chainsaw Massacre tomorrow on Game Pass? No, tomorrow I'm going to play Baldur's Gate. On Sunday, I'm going to play that one, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Community stream on Sunday, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'll be on PC, but it's cross-platform as far as I know, so join from whatever platform you want. We're going to do it. Obvious, but Simpsons. Simpsons, like, yeah, fair enough. But Futurama is my choice. If you want me to go into, like, actual, like, Cartoon Network style things, I can't. I'm stuck. I can't remember anything. You're asking me questions that are too difficult at a point when my brain has thoroughly shut down. If you want to blame anyone, blame Tomu for his 5 more minutes. You're going to finish the Ascent in 5 more minutes. Made me way tired. No, I've never liked Scooby-Doo. Sunday is the Chainsaw Fun Times. Yes, Sunday is going to be Chainsaw Asymmetrical Murderings. Make it not just Blizzard, so Heroes of the Storm focusing on all of Microsoft's IPs. Yes, that should be the only way that Banjo comes back as a victim in Heroes of the Storm. Still talking of all time, Tom and Jerry? No, Peter, no. Loads of cartoons. I'm sure there are loads of cartoons, and I'm sure I watched some. I've always been more games than cartoons, though. Always been more about the games. I would have spent like my teenage years buried in Final Fantasy VII and Shining Force 3, more so than watching things. Yeah, by all means, everybody else stick your favourite 90s cartoons in there, 80s/90s cartoons. Let's do The next question. Are there many more questions? My voice is going to go in a minute. You downloaded the demo for Sea of Stars. Why the demo? Why not wait until the game comes out? Have you tried the demo, or is that just on your to-do list? That's like quite far out from the other things that you've played, unless you dabbled in some Zelda. It's not very like Zelda, but... And I'm talking like Super Nintendo Zelda when I say that. You've derailed the thread, never sorry. No, it's all good. This is free-flowing conversation. You don't have to worry about it. Sea of Stars is one, like, it looks really good, but what was the other one that came out? I've forgotten again. Fire up my trusty Game Pass. Click through, it'll tell me. It's like Chained Echoes or something. No, not Chained Echoes, there's a different one. What is it? What is it? What is it? There's a different isometric RPG that was supposed to be really good. Made by, like, very small number of people, possibly even one person. But a big old classic style RPG. Oh, it was Chain Echoes. Oh, Dennis, maybe it was. Oh, and Echo Generation was the other game that wasn't it. Getting myself confused. Yes, Chain Echoes is supposed to be really good. I want to play that possibly before Sea of Stars. Alex says, have I played the new release on Game Pass, Everspace 2? It's incredible. I haven't played Everspace 2. I've been trying to finish The Ascent, trying to get Red Dead Redemption 2 working, trying to get into Baldur's Gate 3 tomorrow, trying to play Gran Turismo in the VR, trying to play all my other VR games. Everspace 2 has to wait. Has to wait. It looks tidy, but I haven't touched it. Cocoon looks interesting. That comes out soon. Is that... that's a... Who made that? I remember that. I've seen the trailer. It looked really boring. But it was ages ago. It was like near the launch of the consoles that there was a game called Cocoon and it didn't have many cocoons in it. Puzzly game. Has some orbs. Does some cocoony things. And it's a follow-up. It's the second game from someone that made something good. I can't remember what. Play Dead, guys. No, nothing's connecting in my head right now. Let's do the next question. Oh, it's from Limbo and Inside. Okay, that makes sense. It's from them. Yeah. So Peter will be interested. Wacky Racers, you love Muttley. Peter, you like the same things as my dad, which means you'd probably like the same cartoons as Isla as well. Probably like before me stuff. Pre-order Modern Warfare 3? Hell no. No, Alex, I don't touch Call of Duty games. It's possible. I hear that the campaign for Modern Warfare 3 is like more open, less of a linear structure. You can explore a bit. It's more dynamic, more emergent gameplay and things that you can miss. Like a big revamp for how a Call of Duty campaign works. But it's Call of Duty still. I'm not inherently disinterested in Call of Duty games. It will take something special to get me to play it. So no, I'm not pre-ordering or paying an early access thing for it. Haven't played the last Call of Duty yet, or the one before, or any Call of Duty since Call of Duty 2 on the Xbox 360. Game Pass has a strong September coming, and October, I think. Yeah, I mean, Starfield's going to kick off big things, right? September and October have actual Microsoft games. And Starfield obviously being not trivial in any way whatsoever. Personally not as interested in Forza because I do my racing in VR and I adore virtual reality for racing games, so Forza's not going to deliver. But for the pancake fans of racing games, you've got 2 Microsoft games in quick succession. And obviously Lies of P and whatever else is coming out in those months. Literally got the Game Pass app open at the moment. Could look at it and tell you what's coming, but I'm so lazy. Let's do... Yes, Painful Discourse, 1 week until Armored Core 6, 1 week until Firewall Ultra as well, which I'll play a bunch of, and slightly less than a week until Immortals of Avium, which I will also have a crack at. Payday 3 Remake Station, welcome by the way. Hadn't seen your name up to this point. Yes, Payday 3 is coming too. Gris looks cool. Gris has been on Game Pass before, I think. It is highly rated. I haven't touched it myself, but yes, you might enjoy it. Payday 3 should be some nice, easy to get into co-op heisty fun. So we'll see on that one. Let's do... oh, is that it? Did I run out of questions? I ran out of questions. I need some sleep. I do, yeah. 12 is when I try and stop. Oh, it really is 12. 12 is when I try and stop. But I might do a couple of races before I do. I need to have a drink. My voice is going. I spend like almost 3 hours of this. Don't know how that's happened, but I am ever so grateful for any time that you've spent in here to talk to me. So thank you everyone for coming along. There's been some new names and some old, like, some very regular people that are always here. Very much appreciated. But also some new names that I hadn't seen before. Always a pleasure. Tomorrow is going to be Baldur's Gate 3, which should be fun. Like, the game's supposed to be brilliant, and it'll be, I'm sure it'll be slightly different to the way that everybody else plays, because I do enjoy some chaos. New game from the Gris guys looks beautiful. You think it was on the PlayStation Showcase? I believe you. I believe you, but I'm not going to look it up right now because I am going to wrap up. So thank you everyone. Go Live will be on Saturday. Don't know the guests yet, but I bet it's going to be really, really good. And then Gamescom is next week, so there's going to be games news everywhere. There's going to be stuff to play, and it's all going to be fun. Enjoy your evening, have your sleep. There's a video coming out at a certain time tomorrow on this channel, so watch that if you can, and tweet and share it and all of those good things. And I'm going to press that button that finishes everything. The show, at least. Here we go. Druid. Did I end? I know.